go to this exclusive web address, ziprecruiter.com/free. That's ziprecruiter.com/free. ziprecruiter.com/free.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
A nice dome of Canadian high pressure settling in, and we're all about sunshine this afternoon with great temperatures and humidity levels. 82 for the high. Tonight, clear skies, 70s for evening plans, 59, 60 for the overnight low. Tuesday and Wednesday, all remains quiet sunshine, 85 for the high each day. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
If you're looking to have some fun this Friday, I want you to join me, to join the crew out at Midwest Wing Fest in Fairview Heights, Illinois. This is such a fun event, and you do not want to miss the opportunity to be VIP along with us, where you get to hang out inside the tent at Midwest Wing Fest. Unlimited wings. It's worth the price of admission right there. You get your own private bathrooms for the tent and great drinks and everything that you are looking to have a really wonderful time Friday night. It also happens Saturday, but I will be there Friday evening from 7 to 9 p.m. Get your VIP tickets right away. You can go to midwestwingfest.com/events and learn more about this particular event. They have live music, great live music. It is a total fun evening for the whole family. And if you're coming, anybody who's 12 or older, $5 to get in. VIP upgrade options are available for you at midwestwingfest.com/events as well. But everything that you are going to do and support there, it's going to help combat wounded soldiers and families of local fallen heroes. It's an incredible story. It's an incredible event, and it's great for the whole family. Find out how you can get your tickets right now by going to midwestwingfest.com/events.
Updating your home with James Hardie Siding has never been more popular. With all of the options available, you need a partner to maximize your investment. The rising prices on vinyl siding has made Hardie Siding a great alternative. Siding Express is ready to refresh the appearance of your home or totally transform the look by installing Hardie Shake, board and batten, lap siding, or a stone accent to make it your dream home again. Siding Express is an elite preferred James Hardie contractor. Need ideas? Go to sidingexpress.com and schedule a free, no-obligation consultation today.
I was having a lot of sinus infections. My sinuses were clogged, pressure, headaches.
Linda suffered for years with chronic sinus infections.
You don't feel like doing anything. When you feel like your head is completely clogged, all you want to do is just lay down and sleep. And the pressure, it's just not fun, always walking around with a headache.
Now, her issues are gone. How? A minimally invasive procedure done in the office of St. Louis Sinus Centers called balloon sinuplasty.
I really did not know what it was like to feel like you're really breathing and not being so clogged up. I would do it again in a heartbeat, and I would definitely recommend it for someone else.
Do you suffer with chronic sinus infections, facial pain, pressure, congestion? Find out if balloon sinuplasty is the solution for you. Set an appointment today with St. Louis Sinus Centers. Call 314-332-2885. 314-332-2885. That's 314-332-2885.
Angie makes it easier than ever to connect with skilled professionals to get your home projects done well, from repair to remodel. Book instantly at an upfront price or request quotes from multiple pros. Get started on the app or go to Angie.com. That's ANGI.com.
Mark Cox here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how to link to the market without the risk. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go online to retirementkey.com.
This hour of the Annie Frey Show is brought to you by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. It's Monday. Thank you for being here with us this afternoon. Hope you had a wonderful weekend while the heat snapped, and it's just absolutely gorgeous outside right now. So if you're taking your lunch break, roll the windows down and turn the Annie Frey Show up. A lot of news coming over the weekend about Donald Trump, about dates. We're going to have a March 4th trial date as of right now on the January 6th trial. We got to keep them separate. He's got 4 of them sitting out there right now. And Fox News reports that the federal judge presiding over special counsel Jack Smith's case against former President Trump, which alleges interference in the 2020 presidential election, set the trial date for March 4th, right in the middle of the GOP presidential primary calendar. This can't really be shocking to us if you're paying attention to what's going on right now. The idea that this is going to somehow or another manifest itself outside of the election, it's not possible for that to be the case. It isn't possible for the president to be indicted 4 different times and for it to happen outside of the president's run for presidency and the court cases that are going to ensue. It's just not possible. This is the 2024 election season. This is what it's going to look like. We are going to continue to watch the political left, the administrative left, direct this country into chaos. And I'm not really seeing anybody on the right side that I know shy away from where they were before any of this happened. Everybody has become more emphatically what they were before. And that puts us in a position as a country where we are going to have to ask ourselves, how do we accomplish something with our emphatic beliefs in what is good and what is wrong and what is bad? We either we have 2 choices. And this is anytime there's a disagreement of any kind, whether it's between your children, whether it's between you and your significant other, your spouse, or coworker, or somebody who serves on some sort of like church board with you or committee board at a community center. You have 2 choices when you are completely on separate sides of the spectrum. You either have to come together with compromise that is only achieved through listening and understanding and thoughtful persuasion, or you have to win. You have to beat the other side. And when you win, the other side doesn't get to lay claim to, well, this is how this is going to go, and that's how that's going to go. When you win, you make the decisions. The other side sits down. I don't hear anybody in the political world today calling for compromise. Do you remember in the years of, probably the post-George Bush years, when Barack Obama was running for office and he sashayed into every room he walked into. He spoke so eloquently from every podium that he stood behind. I mean, this was the idea of Barack Obama. This is what they wanted you to believe and understand about Barack Obama, was he was this almost like a manifestation of the idyllic candidate for office, to the extent that many of the things that they championed about him were not even entirely accurate or true. People were longing for something in the wake of September 11th and an Iraq war, Afghanistan war, these opportunities and instances where America was sending our young men and women overseas for what we weren't 100% sure, but we knew we were all collectively pissed off. We were out for blood, and we were going to get it. And there's a large contingent of Americans who wanted to be alleviated of that. And Barack Obama was the man of the time. He was able to identify what this country was longing for, which, I mean, I don't know, Brad, if you think it's too bold to say, But this country was longing for an emotion,
Mm-hmm.
not a solution that
No.
Obama was
Yeah, I agree.
bringing.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. They were. It was because I think if they were looking for a solution, they would have asked for more substance and then hope and change. And yes, we can.
Yeah. I don't know that John McCain was like the solution that the United States was going for, but a country that was hurting, a country that was a little bit, what's the word of the day? Listless. A country that was trying to figure out. We know that we have been attacked. We know that the idea of America has been assaulted. We have had our blood shed because of who we are. So in turn, we want revenge. Americans had that emotion. Where were you when September 11th happened?
I was at the drive-through of the Freeburg McDonald's. I had just dropped my brother and sister off at school, and then I was heading home. My mom had worked an overnight shift. When September 11th happened, I was at the drive-through. What I remember hearing was there was a morning show on a different radio station that I was listening to, and they just reported, "Hey, we got news reports that a plane has hit one of the towers. We don't know which tower. We don't know how big of a plane." And so it's about a 15 to 20-minute drive home from there to my house, and on the way home, that's when they started expanding more and more and more to the point whenever I got in, the first thing I did was I went upstairs to my parents' room. We turned on the TV and I woke my mom up and I said, "You've got to watch what's going on here."
I know I was listening to Y98 on the way into high school as a senior in high school, and I assume it was Guy Phillips. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe he wasn't working that day, but I was listening to Y98, and the immediate reaction, because it was such a bizarre story at first, over the radio as it was happening, it was not that it was a full-out passenger plane. It was almost like there was a wayward private plane that did something. And in honesty, I did not know what the Twin Towers were at 17 years old as a senior in high school. If somebody would have shown me the New York City skyline and been like, "Can you point out the Twin Towers?" Yeah, I could do that. I could point out, but I don't know that I would have known that they were the World Trade Center. I didn't know that. And of course, everybody understands what that is right now. Even our children do. But there is an emotion that happened after that day. And whenever you have that strong influx of emotion, something happens and your fight, flight, or freeze mentality sets in, you are immediately flushed with adrenaline that makes you want to react. And then when it wears off, I don't know, Brad, if you've had personal experiences like this too, but when it wears off, my mind will go back and replay, like, what did I do during that adrenaline rush? Was that sensible? Was that completely compulsive? Because I reacted in a way that was, for instance, I am much more eager to step in front of an issue or a scenario where somebody very close to me seems to need an extra defense. Fight me.
Yeah.
I'm there. If it's me, I have a lot more. The timeline is much longer before I'm going to engage to defend myself. Somebody else, especially my children, especially as an athlete, teammates that I had, let's go. Like, let's rumble. And then afterwards, the adrenaline settles and you're like, well, it's kind of embarrassing.
Yeah, definitely been in that situation as well.
Yeah. I think that going into the Obama election, America was going, well, we reacted in such a strong way. We sent so many men and women. We sent so much money into this war, and we wanted to know what we were getting for it. So somebody identified how we felt in that moment, and in that moment, we wanted calm. We wanted an acknowledgement that we can't forever be on this path of endless war. That would have been difficult for many Americans to define. What does victory look like here? Like, what happens? When are we watching what's taking place? And when do we go, we did it? And I don't think that that was something that was collectively understood by most Americans. And, even thinking about the instance myself and knowing that I was a very youthful person during those years, that was, September 11th changed everything for everybody, but I was 17 and I had just dipped my toe into the idea of being an adult as a senior in high school and thinking about college, and then everything was different. And I go through college and had arguments with professors about, I had professors who were somewhat insulting to people who would choose to serve in this war. And then let's just, go back about 60 seconds here, and I had to stand up and say something about it. Why? Because I couldn't shut my big fat mouth. And I don't really regret it. And honestly, as much as I disagreed with those professors publicly, I think looking back on it, I didn't do poorly in those classes. They didn't hold it against me. But there was so much anxiety. It was so tense. It was so difficult to go through that time at that age that I look at it from, if I put myself back in that position and then move myself forward to when the 2008 election was happening, other than an unfettered love and admiration for my peers who signed up to serve in wartime, there are not many generations of people where you specifically came of age right after a strike. We've had long wars. We have amazing men and women over the course of decades who have answered the call. Even, in some cases you could say, signing up during a time of war that had been going on for a while and still saying, I want to do this is as admirable. It's not, we're not comparing honor here, but there is something that can be distinguished and respected for someone who sat in a classroom or in their car in a drive-through or wherever it might be and knew that this was happening and that our country was under attack and said, yeah, you want to talk about the fight, flight, or freeze thing? They went all in on the fight. And they did that for us. And the political bickering that surrounded the decision that included sending men and women over there, I just had zero tolerance for any disrespect of any kind. And I still do. It borderlines irrational disgust, but I don't even know if it's possible in that instance to disrespect those people. Move forward all the way to where we are now. 2 years after we lose 13 service members in Afghanistan because Joe Biden just said, we're done here. I don't look at those men and women who served and feel confident that they are confident in any of it. I think that they know why they were there. They know what they did. They know what they saw. They know what they experienced. But I'm trying to think of a moment in time in those, 20 years from now, where America really understood any of it or was given the opportunity to understand any of it because the politicians in Washington, D.C. needed your belief system to be affected one way or the other too much for their next election. And the lives that we lost during those 20 years, but then also 2 years ago in a mind-blowingly stupid decision by Joe Biden, which he's never really apologized for. When you and I think about what happened in August of 2021 in Afghanistan, it's almost so tragic that you don't even really want to think about it. Those lives were not lost in a situation where they were meaningless because of what Joe Biden did. Those lives were very meaningful. And if you talk about it, I'm always hesitant to bring up these conversations because I want to bring them up in a way that serves them and respects them the way they should be served, not in a way that's like, Donald Trump would have been a better president. I mean, those people didn't die so that we could elect Donald Trump the next time. Those people didn't die so that we wouldn't elect Joe Biden the next time. So the question is, why did they die? And that is a difficult thing to sit and ruminate over. All of these things that come to the surface for me, noon to 3, Monday through Friday. The economy, the border, the way the government wants to parent my children for me and tell me, I got this, just sit back and relax. I'll provide for you at least what you need. Actually, at least what we think that you'll need. Healthcare, poverty, homelessness, drugs, fentanyl, education systems, student loans, grocery bills, gas pumps, all of these things that sit and stare at you every single day. The solution to all of this is never going to be met by the next man or woman who gets elected into office. I think that Americans, myself included, have surrendered way too much into the political fight about winning particular offices. And of course it matters who wins and who doesn't. I'm not discounting the fact that we would be in a much better place should Donald Trump actually be the president right now. But what I am saying is there is way too much at stake. Like the lives of those 13 servicemen who are in the hands of the commander-in-chief. The children who are moving through an education system that wants to indoctrinate them and not educate them. An open border, which I guess I haven't verified. I can hardly believe that this is true. They put doors in the border wall in Arizona, I believe. I'll have to check it. What are we doing? And sitting back as conservatives, if we're self-professed conservatives, sitting back as conservatives and waiting for the solution to arrive when the next person gets into office is not the way American government is supposed to be. Your voice is supposed to be the most important voice. Your thoughts and opinions shared with other Americans' thoughts and opinions when you agree or you disagree, that idea of compromise that I was talking about before, or winning, forget about compromise. Stop compromising with the politicians who want to lead you and run your life. We need to win, and we need to win as the American people, telling our American government who's in charge. If the American people sit back and decide to surrender their power as we the people to a party affiliation that would love nothing more than exactly that, we will lose our country. Because if the Republican machine, if the Democrat machine continues to pull the levers at every single cause, and the Republican Party gets to tell Republicans, this is what you're going to stand for, and if you don't stand for this, then you're not one of us, and the Democrat Party doing the same, then the people aren't actually in charge. It's just factions of the government who are telling us how it's going to go and how it's going to be. Let's take a quick break. I want to know what your thoughts are on this YouTube live chat poll for today. And I think a lot of people are questioning whether or not Joe Biden is going to be the nominee. I'm curious if you think, can Donald Trump win the presidency if Joe Biden isn't the Democratic nominee? Yes or no? Can Trump beat somebody other than Biden? Go to the Annie Frey YouTube channel in the live chat portion. Vote there. We'll be right back.
Well, don't you worry, baby, don't worry.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Follow Annie on Twitter @Annie Frey Show.
I'm a grinner, I'm a lover, and I'm a sinner. I play my music in the sun. I'm a joker, I'm a smoker, I'm a midnight toker. Get my loving on the run.
C.A. Jones on the Illinois side of the river is the place to make sure you've checked out if you're considering building a home in the Metro East. Now, they build homes all across the Metro East. They have a wide array of different towns and neighborhoods that they've been building in, but they also have the largest inventory of new construction homes for sale right now on their website at cajonesinc.com. They provide many options of buildable plans that if you go to the Design Your Home tool that's right there in the menu of cajonesinc.com, you can pick the plan that suits you. If you're a family who, I've got 6 kids in my family, when they all move out, I'm not going to necessarily need the same space that I needed when 4 kids were running around the home. I might want to downsize, but I also want to make sure that everything is the way I want it. The fireplace is where I want them. The basement finished the way I wanted it to. The bedroom situation so that I can welcome them home anytime they want to come back, but also not use that space just for bedrooms that aren't being occupied all the time. They can do it all. C.A. Jones has big homes, little homes, everything in between, as well as those new construction homes for sale right now on their website. Learn more by going to cajonesinc.com.
Innovation Refunds does not provide tax or legal advice. We work with an independent network of tax professionals and will share information with them to evaluate and process your claims. Terms and conditions apply. Ty is a paid spokesman.
I'm Ty Burrell, actor and small business owner. You can trust Innovation Refunds with your small business's ERC claim because of their SOC 2 Type 1 security compliance. And if you're a tech person, you know that's a big deal. I'm not a tech person, but I did look it up. Without this certification, how can you be sure a company can protect your information? It's not like here on the radio, where all you need to be secure is a sensor button. Check it out. So now you won't know my date of birth is or that my social security number is the password to my bank account is Ty's Cool Password 1. Uh-oh, the button's broken. Luckily, Innovation Refunds is more reliable. Don't wait. Go to innovationrefunds.com. That's innovationrefunds.com or call 1-843-REFUNDS to get started. Oh, a notification from my bank. Wait, I didn't buy a boat.
Stop everything you're doing right now and ask yourself, are you currently receiving steady paychecks? What about when you're retired? Will you receive a monthly check to cover your expenses and also have some fun? Marvin Mitchell and the team at Compass Retirement Solutions calls this mailbox money. It's a monthly check you'll receive throughout retirement. They don't want you to worry about if the money will show up or how much money you'll receive. The only thing they want you to think about is how to spend it when it arrives. Find out how to get enough money in your mailbox every month when you're retired. Call Marvin Mitchell and the Compass Retirement Solutions team at 314-373-1598 to start working on a plan that can help you create the monthly income you'll need in retirement. Call 314-373-1598 right now and schedule a visit with Compass Retirement Solutions. 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services, investments, and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois.
Some days I cover up because of my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Now I'm hitting the road with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieved 90% clearer skin at 4 months. And Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
For details and a list of all station contest rules, visit www.971talk.com/rules.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for the Honor Flight today at gslhonorflight.org. And for heating services, visit aircomfortservice.com. It's Annie. Join me for the VIP experience at Midwest Wing Fest. This legendary event takes place Friday and Saturday in Fairview Heights at St. Clair Square and benefits combat wounded soldiers and the families of local fallen heroes. Learn more and get your VIP tickets at midwestwingfest.com/events.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Now and then I think of when we were together. Like when you said you felt so happy you could die. I told myself that you were right for me, but felt so lonely in your company. But that was love and to make us still remember.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. We're grateful that you're with us this afternoon. Ryan Wiggins is extending his stay off of the show for a little bit. He didn't feel great when he came back from his vacation, so he's going to take the days that he needs to get back and get healthy. So we're going to have no Wiggins America when we return. We're just going to keep on rolling with the news of the day. I wanted to play this clip for you and get your reaction on it. So I think that the Vivek conversation after the last debate has been one of the most interesting one. His debate performance was polarizing, and it seems like his wins and his losses with people kind of evened out a little bit, but people definitely either liked what he did or didn't like what he did.
Yeah, I was talking to my wife about that, and she goes, whenever he first started going, I really liked a lot of what he had to say. But she's like, the more he went, the more it reminded me of one of my students.
I know. I was going to ask you about that because she's a teacher, and I think I actually might have. I'd have to go back and watch the tape, which I won't. And I was talking about that. Like, he's the kid in your class that knows everything and sometimes gets a zinger out on another petulant kid or an annoying teacher. But at some point, you're just like, can you stop? And I did not come away from that debate liking Vivek more. Did you?
No, I wouldn't say I liked him more. I came away from that debate with a better understanding of who he was. So I think he did end up getting out over his skis a little bit. Like, there was a little bit of it that was like, all right, chill, dude. We get it.
Chris Christie's greatest contribution to this election might be calling him ChatGPT. That made me belly laugh out loud when he said that, because Chris Christie lands zingers. He knows how to quip and cut in a way that is funny. I don't know how it's effective to his presidential campaign. I don't even know if that's what he's trying to do there. Vivek Ramaswamy made a comment about Ayanna Pressley, I believe it was. Ayanna Pressley said it was problematic that another brown-skinned individual was basically saying the wrong political things. Is that a summation?
Yeah. It was something to the effect of somebody with a brown face but not using their brown voice or their voice to defend brown people. Something to the effect of that. And it's just yucky. Gross.
So you have a Democrat congresswoman looking at a Republican presidential candidate and making a determination about what he should and shouldn't be saying solely based on the color of that candidate's skin. Fair?
That's a 100% fair assessment.
So we go to Dana Bash at CNN, which is the arbiter of fair and balanced and minimal rhetoric. Dana Bash has Vivek on, and Ramaswamy's going everywhere. Except for here, we've worked on it. We're working on it. If Ramaswamy can get in front of a non-friendly audience, he is in no way, shape, or form shying down from that. But I think that this conversation with Dana Bash is a very, very interesting one, and it's interesting because of what's underlying this conversation. So listen to them go back and forth.
You took issue with comments from Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley. She reportedly said, quote, "We don't need any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice." About that, you said, "These are the words of the modern grand wizards of the modern KKK." You know, I'm sure, the KKK was responsible for more than a century's worth of horrific lynchings, rapes, murders of black people.
So I want to interrupt there. So Dana quotes Ayanna Pressley saying something that is incredibly racist about Vivek Ramaswamy. I don't know how you can hear what Pressley says that due to Vivek's skin color, he should only be saying things that Ayanna Pressley approves that somebody of his brown skin color should say. That is a racist statement. And I feel like in order to engage in a thoughtful conversation about what the exchange that we're going to listen to here, it's important to understand that piece of information before we get into the rest, which is where Vivek's response is calling her a grand wizard. Here we go.
How in any way are the views you're talking about comparable to the views and atrocities committed by the KKK?
What I said is the Grand Wizards of the KKK would be proud of what they would hear her say, because there's nothing more racist than saying that your skin color predicts something about the content of your viewpoints
You
or
didn't
your
just say they
ideas.
would be proud. You said these are the words of the modern Grand Wizards of the modern KKK.
It is the same spirit. You're right about that, Dana. I think it is the same spirit to say that I can look at you and based on just your skin color, that I know something about the content of your character, that I know something about the content of the viewpoints you're allowed to express. For Ayanna Pressley to tell me that because of my skin color, I can't express my views, that is wrong. It is divisive.
Dana has not here yet once even commented, articulated, opinionated anything about what Ayanna Pressley said about Vivek. The only thing that matters to Dana Bash in this conversation is that Ramaswamy had the audacity to invoke the KKK on somebody, I would assume, a person of color who's a congresswoman.
Driving hate in this country. This is dividing our country to a breaking point.
That is
and
a
I think we need
debate
to move beyond it.
that is based on nonviolent discussion. That you just said you're using rhetoric, which she said she's using rhetoric. That's one thing. And another thing is to say that she represents and she is a modern version of a KKK, which, as you know, was dedicated to the subjugation and violence against black people. How on earth is she a modern
Dana,
grand wizard
let's be intellectually
of that
honest.
kind of organization?
So Dana Bash here, reminding everybody of the horrors of the Ku Klux Klan and listening to Ramaswamy invoke the idea of the Ku Klux Klan in the same paragraph as Ayanna Pressley is incredibly offensive to Dana Bash. Here's what I want to challenge anybody listening, because I have two more clips from this conversation. We're going to play it in the next break. I want you to listen to what Dana Bash is saying to Ramaswamy. And I want you to understand that she's actually probably correct in that the rhetoric that is pushed into this conversation by Ramaswamy in and of itself, because she's only taking this, she's only reacting to Ramaswamy's reaction. She's not talking, it's completely intellectually dishonest. She's not talking about anything or any criticisms that may exist about what Pressley said. She's only talking about Ramaswamy and what he said. And you have to ask yourself, would you rather live in a political society where the Ku Klux Klan isn't invoked in some sort of casual and meaningful way to make a point? I would rather live in a society where the Ku Klux Klan was so disgusting that even the mention of it would be considered in and of itself offensive. My question to you is that the society we live in right now? Is what Dana Bash is asking of Ramaswamy, not in the specifics of the detail, but the approach that she's taking, intellectually dishonest in and of itself? I've got two more clips to play for you from this exchange, and I think it's a really, really important exercise as we move forward into this campaign and this election process to understand how the media does what it does. Not just, it's CNN and Dana Bash, I'm not going to pay any attention. Because what happens is the people who watch CNN every day, all day, the dozens of them they argue the same way, and you should be adherent to understanding how they operate. We'll do more when we come back. Don't go away.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
FullyDentalGroup.com is accepting new patients right now. If you want to go to the dentist that people flock to from both sides of the river, quite honestly, they're located in Glen Carbon, right there off of 270 and 159. Very simple to get to. And they are taking new patients. They're taking new patients for people who just haven't been in a while. If you haven't, and you've been kind of ashamed, like, gosh, I don't want to go back. It's going to be embarrassing. I haven't had my teeth cleaned in years. Forget about that. Set that aside. Don't worry about that. Fully Dental Group wants to see you. They want to help you get back in shape and make sure that your teeth and your dental and your whole mouth oral care is being attended to the way it's supposed to, with respect to your current situation. If you have aches and pains in your mouth, chipped teeth, if you have missing teeth, they have wonderful solutions and a variety of them when it comes to implants and dentures. And doctors Amran and Hanser, they dedicate their practice at Fully Dental Group to restoring your smile and making sure that your chewing ability and your smile and the way it looks and the function of your mouth and your bite are all back to where they're supposed to be, if not much more improved. Invisalign, helping with sleep disordered breathing, and general checkups, teeth cleaning, get the plaque off your teeth. Fully Dental Group is there to help you through this process, and they are wonderful at it. They're the very best, kind and welcoming. 618-288-9670. Call them and schedule an appointment today. Tell them Annie sent you. 618-288-9670. Online at fullydentalgroup.com.
Now is the time to replace your home's exterior during Banner Construction's 30th anniversary with same as cash financing. Beautify the exterior of your home and save with famous James Hardie siding and Pella windows. James Hardie looks and feels like real wood with no maintenance. Call now for special financing. Let Banner Construction's exterior design team give you a free quote. Call 314-569-1050. That's 569-1050 or online, bannerconstruction.com. And have a banner day.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Attention taxpayers. If you or your business owe the IRS back taxes or have years of unfiled tax returns, the IRS has green-lighted billions of dollars in tax relief to those facing financial hardship through its tax relief initiatives. If you have a delinquent tax problem and possibly facing wage garnishment, liens, levies, audits, or already in a payment plan, you may now qualify for significant relief. Qualifying and enrolling in this program could stop all collections, settle your tax problem, and may even reduce what you owe by up to 99%. Call the hotline at Tax Help USA to see if you qualify and receive your free tax assessment by dialing 800-210-1005. If you or your business owe back taxes to the IRS or state, you can now get the help that you need during these hard economic times. Get your free tax assessment to see what you qualify for by dialing 800-210-1005. 800-210-1005. That's 800-210-1005.
Mark Reardon sees clearly thanks to Doctors Birdie and Maholtred Ophthalmology Associates. You can too. Go to youridoc.com today. That's youridoc.com or call 314-966-5000. Ophthalmology Associates.
Today's YouTube live chat poll: can Donald Trump win the presidency if Joe Biden isn't the Democratic nominee? Yes or no? Log on to the Annie Frey YouTube page and let us know what you think. Also, coming up at 1:25, we will have Attorney General Andrew Bailey on to talk about the recent ruling about the Missouri law that bans puberty blockers for minors. You don't want to miss it. Right now, the time is 12:47. This update is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Conservative solutions, objective conclusions. For news and opinion, this is St. Louis's home for conservative talk. 97.1 FM Talk. You're listening to The Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Follow Annie on Instagram at The Annie Frey Show.
When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we've seen. No, I won't be afraid. No, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand by me. Now, darling.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. I am happy that you're here with us today on a beautiful Monday afternoon. It is not nearly as hot as it was last week, so hopefully you're enjoying the windows down on your lunch break. You can take the Annie Frey Show and 97.1 FM Talk with you if you stream us on the Odyssey app wherever you go. But we're big fans of just turning on the old-fashioned radio. Keep it at 97.1 FM. We appreciate that. We're talking about Dana Bash and Vivek Ramaswamy, who were having this conversation, this discussion, spar, some might say, over comments that Vivek made about Ayanna Pressley and her statement that brown people need to use their brown voice to help brown people, essentially. And Ramaswamy responded to that and referred to Presley's comments as something, the words of the grand wizards of the Ku Klux Klan, and essentially said that the idea that somehow or another Ramaswamy's skin color should dictate the words that come out of his mouth is in conflict with the Martin Luther King Jr. idea of judging people by the content of their character, not just the color of their skin. Dana Bash is aghast at the idea that Ramaswamy would bring into the conversation Grand Wizards and the Ku Klux Klan towards Ayanna Pressley. But Dana Bash has never really, in this conversation, in this exchange, Dana Bash doesn't really talk to Ramaswamy about the fact that Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley said, if your skin color is brown, here are the things that you should be saying. Dana Bash has just been out of shape over the fact that Ramaswamy took it in a way that white lady Dana Bash doesn't approve of. I mean, let's just be honest here. Here's more from that conversation. Let's listen in.
Let's be intellectually honest and get to the heart of what this debate ought to be about. There is a worldview that says that the remedy to past discrimination is present discrimination, that if you're black or brown, you have to have a particular point of view. That's from Ibram Kendi. That's from Ayanna Pressley, the people I quoted in my speech yesterday.
But can
There's
you
a
have
different
an
view
intellectually
that I have,
honest
which says that regardless of who you are,
when you accuse
have to
her
be able
of
to have your own
being a
opinion.
grand wizard
Let's
of
have
the
the debate.
KKK? Can you have that intellectually honest discussion with that kind of rhetoric?
Yes, I can, Dana, because the point I'm highlighting is that even the people who, in good spirit, we all agree that the KKK was an awful organization that is a toxic stain in our national history. So given that we can start from that point of agreement, now that allows us to say, well, who actually sounds more like that organization today? The people who are calling for more racial discrimination on the basis of skin color. So yes, I think that is an intellectually useful starting point for a provocative discussion that we need to have in this country.
The whole point is
the
KKK wasn't just about rhetoric.
We have to speak openly.
They lynched people, they murdered people, they raped people, they burned their homes.
And that was wrong.
Simply
that was obviously wrong.
Wrong. Okay, so again,
that is obviously a wrong thing.
If you want to have an intellectual discussion, do you think that maybe comparing her to the Grand Wizard and the notion of what she said to being a modern leader of the KKK was maybe a step too far, or you stand by what you said?
So she can't get over it. The only thing that matters to Dana Bash in this exchange is the idea that Ramaswamy defended himself against racist remarks from Congresswoman Pressley. Racist remarks. None of that matters to Dana Bash. She's very dedicated to protecting the honor of Presley, and she's willing to put all of the responsibility of this conversation on Vivek.
I stand by what I said to provoke an open and honest discussion in this country, because there is a gap, Dana, between what people will say in private today and what they will say in public. I think we need to close that gap. I think we need to have real, open, honest, raw conversation as Americans. That is our path to national unity. And there are many Americans today who are deeply frustrated by the new culture of anti-racism that's really racism in new clothing. And we need to have that debate in the open. Dana, I think that you're doing, with due respect, what many in the media do, picking on some fringe comment in the context of a broader context that I was offering it in a speech.
All right, so you just said that your comment was fringe.
Let's have the courage to confront the meat of that. I'm saying you drew a fringe comment from a much longer speech. As I described you picking one fringe comment from a long speech that I gave to duck debate from the real issue that I think you don't want to have, Dana, because I think you probably agree with me on this, that this is toxic from leading politicians on dividing us on the basis of race. And I want to have the open debate.
I think this debate is fascinating and interesting and opening and important. What I did was...
I do too.
Explain to our viewers that you were asked a question and you took it to a point where you called a sitting member of Congress who is black, who was having discussions about race, calling her the modern grand wizard of the KKK. And I'm just not sure how that's open and honest discussion. I want to move on, though, to another issue, a very important issue, and that is climate change.
Before I move on, I want to say that the question was...
Please.
How was I actually able to speak? And her view is I can't share certain views because my skin color is brown. I disagree with her, and we should have that debate in the open. But yes, let's talk about climate change because this is critical.
Vivek Ramaswamy makes the important point there at the end, and I'm glad that he spoke up in that way. When Ayanna Pressley says that Ramaswamy's brown skin precludes him from having certain thoughts, opinions, or saying certain words, that is racist. That is inherently racist. And Dana Bash cannot get past the discussion about a former racist organization that was as violent and destructive a version of racism that this country has ever seen, that it would be invoked here. And, does she get to have that right to be that way? Yes. She gets to say that. But let's go back to January of 2021. Listen to this.
Times which are unique.
So that was a comment that's very difficult to hear, talking about how Trump is closer to Hitler. Here's Miles Taylor from the administration.
What is your biggest fear about what happens if the president has a second term?
I think the president will feel completely emboldened to pursue not just these almost Nazi-like immigration policies. I don't say that lightly. That's a pretty harsh term to levy against the president, but that's really where they want to go, is turn this country into Fortress America rather than a shining city on a hill. But worse still for me, as a lifelong national security professional, is I believe the president is going to sell out our allies and befriend our enemies and put this country in danger.
So that was October of 2020, October 29th of 2020 that we had that clip. Almost Nazi-like immigration policies from Miles Taylor, who is a former Trump administration official. Here is Christian Amanpour talking about President Trump.
82 years ago, Kristallnacht happened. It was the Nazis' warning shot across the bow of our human civilization that led to genocide against a whole identity. And in that tower of burning books, it led to an attack on fact, knowledge, history, and truth. After 4 years of a modern-day assault on those same values by Donald Trump, the Biden-Harris team pledges a return to norms.
Barf. Absolutely vomit in my mouth. Barf. To listen, where was Dana Bash holding CNN anchors Christian Amanpour's feet to the fire about invoking Kristallnacht and Hitler and Nazi-esque correlations? Listen, folks, these people are disingenuous people. My entire point about going through this Ramaswamy Dana Bash conversation is not to take Ramaswamy's comments about the KKK towards Ayanna Pressley and say, this is why he was right on this. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the details are in a political argument any longer. because we are in the dredges, the swamp of discourse, of conversation, of respect for one another. And Dana Bash, if her whole point of bringing all this up is to hold Ramaswamy's feet to the fire, then you know that she's lost the argument because she's not fighting the battle. She's not out there fighting to make a point about what Ayanna Pressley said was right, because if that were her point, she would have made it. She's trying to politically hurt Ramaswamy, and I'm tired of it. We'll be right back.
Mark Cox here. Before you sell your home, you should know what it's worth in today's market. Call my friend Gloria Liu. She'll tell you. With 20 plus years of experience, Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty has been successfully selling homes in your area for more money than the average agent. Gloria has multiple selling options that give you the power of how and when your home is sold. A few of Gloria's options include bringing multiple cash offers from her substantial pool of investors, a zero commission program, and don't forget Gloria's guaranteed sale program. Why can Gloria guarantee the sale of your home? Because her database of buyers is huge, and she's so confident she can sell your home, she'll put her own money where her mouth is. Call your local real estate expert today. Call Gloria Liu at 314-325-6888. That's 314-325-6888. Or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Conditions apply. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
Shopping for flooring at Michael's Flooring Outlet is the way to shop local, but also to shop smart, to make sure that you are purchasing flooring that's going to give you the quality that you expect and demand, but at a great value. The Smart Strand Mohawk Silk line is known for its silky softness and superior performance, but it also has 3 times more individual fibers than ordinary nylon carpet, and each strand is packed with 700 silk-like stain-resistant fibers. You get this from Michael's Flooring Outlet when you're looking for carpet. You want the best? Go to Michael's. If you want the best price and the best value, go to Michael's Flooring Outlet. They have 3 convenient locations for you to shop in St. Louis right now. So if you're looking to go online, you go to igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com. But if you want to walk in, if you want to experience and feel and look at the great displays that they have out, you shop in any of their 3 locations in St. Charles County on Main Street in Old Town St. Peters at Mid Rivers and Highway 70. In West County on Olive Boulevard, you can also check out their shop at Darting Prairie. Online at igotfloored.com.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Bracing for a big storm. I'm Kevin Uretsky, Fox News. The west coast of Florida is preparing for Idalia. For now, a tropical storm, but expected to be a major hurricane when it arrives late tomorrow or early Wednesday. National Hurricane Center Director Michael Brennan on potential storm surge.
We could see inundation values in Tampa Bay of 4 to 7 feet above ground level.
Tampa Mayor Jane Castor.
Run from the water, hide from the wind. So that's a saying that is very simplistic and very, very informative for our community.
Hurricane warnings are now in effect, and over 40 Florida counties are under a state of emergency. Former President Trump will stand trial on federal charges alleging he tried to overturn the 2020 election starting March 4th. That's a day before the Super Tuesday primaries. Also today, word that the former president and his 18 co-defendants will be arraigned September 6th in the Georgia state case alleging efforts to overturn the election results there. U.S. Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo is in Beijing, meeting with the Chinese to try and improve economic relations between the U.S. and China.
The world is counting on the U.S. and China to responsibly manage and maintain our commercial relationship.
She said ahead of the visit, she talked to nearly 150 American CEOs and business leaders, and she thinks they'll be pleased to know that she and the Chinese Commerce Minister agreed to form a new working group involving U.S. and Chinese government and commercial officials.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal reporting. And President Biden and the First Lady visiting middle school 8th graders in Washington today on the kids' first day back in school, talking with the students about what the kids claim is their hardest subject.
You all look so excited to be in math class in your first day. What's your hardest subject in school?
America is listening to Fox News.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack? Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
A nice dome of Canadian high pressure settling in, and we're all about sunshine this afternoon with great temperatures and humidity levels. 82 for the high. Tonight, clear skies, 70s for evening plans, 59-60 for the overnight low. Tuesday and Wednesday, all remains quiet sunshine, 85 for the high each day. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Saving for retirement is a lot of work. It's a lot of sacrifice. You've been doing it. You're in your late 50s, early 60s, and you're saying, good grief, I'd like to live off of this now. I would like to retire. And then you look at all the economy news that comes out and you think, I don't know, can I sustain what I have right now when inflation is going through the roof? Can I retire the way I wanted to, do the things I wanted to, or do I have to work longer? You've got all the questions, and all those questions that lack of understanding in this particular climate makes you go, I think I need a little help. I need a little assistance here. Enter the Retirement Advisory Group. Thomas Helbig, Bob Kershaw, and Tammy Kershaw are there to give you the worry-free retirement you've dreamt of, that you've worked hard for. When you call 314-993-9494, that's 314-993-9494, you are being very, very smart by sitting down at no cost to you and no obligation to them to listen to what they have to say. They're going to position you to be able to get into that retirement as you expected so that you know what happens next, that you're prepared, that you get to exhale. 314-993-9494, 314-993-9494, retirementkey.com.
The IRS definitely ramped up operations since the pandemic slowed them down, and activity only increases from here. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. If you're currently under audit or you haven't paid your taxes in the past, now's the time to call the Lance Story Law Firm. The IRS has a published Taxpayer Bill of Rights, which says you have the right to retain legal representation. Because IRS problems are legal problems, and the Lance Story Law Firm focuses specifically on addressing IRS issues for our clients. It's all we do. We get out in front of the IRS, devise the best resolution plan, and work to make sure you're able to take advantage of every program you're qualified to receive. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure company, call the Lance Story Law Firm. We're local, located right here in St. Louis, or visit Lance, DRURYlaw.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Story Law Firm, 314-238-7360.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing. Together, millions of things for our planet. Improve your gas mileage by properly inflating tires and taking your car in for a tune-up. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
More than 80 million Americans depend on AM radio each month for news, weather, and emergency information. A new bill in Congress would make sure AM radio remains in cars, because when cell and internet services are down, this free service could be your only lifeline. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress to support the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Join Mosby Building Arts every Saturday from 12 to 1 p.m. on 97.1 FM. Rich Orse and guests give insider tips about renovations, design, construction, exteriors, and more. Tune in to Right at Home with Rich on Saturdays or catch the podcast online.
Fox Across America has landed on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Weeknights at 6.
Hey, it's your radio buddy Jimmy Fallon here, and I am fired up, psyched to be here on 97.1.
Jimmy Fallon.
Every weeknight at 6.
97.1 FM Talk. This hour of the Annie Frey Show is brought to you by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That
was exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Well, again, it's him actually accomplishing things that should be proof to people that he's the right man for the job going forward. Nobody talks about the fact that Donald Trump is similar age to Joe Biden, and the truth is that what Joe Biden has proven is that age also brings experience. And one more thing that you should recognize, because you've seen Joe Biden over 50 years now in public life. Here's one thing everybody knows. This is a man who brings empathy to everything that he does.
I regret my decision to play that audio. It was a mistake. I made a lot of mistakes.
I
That's one
warned
of
you.
them. Yeah, it did say J.B. Pritzker on the sheet. And I was like, oh, let's do that. That'll be great for everybody. Then everybody turned off the radio because they couldn't handle it. You could send the bill to me for when you smacked your radio so hard to turn it off. He says there a lot of stupid, but a couple of my favorite highlights from that 31 seconds of my life that I'll never get back, and yours that I stole from you. I'm sorry. No one talks about the fact that Donald Trump's age is very close to Joe Biden's. There's a freaking reason for that, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it's not your age, it's how you use it.
Yeah, for the most part, it's people on both sides not drawing that comparison because it doesn't look good for Joe Biden.
Also, J.B. Pritzker, when you say that Joe Biden brings empathy everywhere he went, he just went to Maui, to Lahaina. He took a stage and a microphone. He lied about the fire that took place at his home decades ago in a way to try to share empathy. No, he's a bleeping narcissist, and he's so old and senile that he can't even make it politically palatable for people anymore. That's Joe Biden. It isn't empathy. Joe Biden loves Joe Biden, and Joe Biden has gotten away with being Joe Biden for the entirety of his career, but that age that we were talking about just before, that senility that is set in, it started to make it so that he can't just envelop slime all over every type of narcissistic reaction that he has that makes people go, oh, he feels like us. He's like us. He rides the train. In fact, I think he drives the train. He said so. Stop. It makes me so mad. It makes me so mad. And I'm telling you what, the more the people like J.B. Pritzker and Gavin Newsom and Gretchen Whitmer and whomever might step on the stage, as soon as Joe Biden is out of the race, the more they push and push about Joe Biden is our guy. You want credit for saying that. You want to be on the record for supporting the party and being a party man and being a party first girl, that you were loyal to the Democratic Party and you wouldn't undercut the incumbent president of the United States. It's so obvious. It is so obvious. As Joe Biden would say, it's so obvious that Joe Biden does not have what it takes to continue campaigning in the type of campaign that's going to need to be in place for the next 400 and, stand by, wait for it, 35 days before Election Day in November of 2024. Joe Biden can't do that. He's been on vacation for 3 years. He just got back from Lake Tahoe. And I am watching news reports come through, like Joe Biden speaks after returning from excuse me while I put my life on hold to hear what that dude has to say. No, it's just not happening. This man doesn't have empathy. This man, in every opportunity to show empathy to other Americans who he's representing, in every opportunity, he talks about himself. and his own personal experiences. And yes, in order to, the difference between sympathy and empathy is the fact that when you have empathy, you feel what other people are feeling. He hasn't. Nobody gets to feel everything that everybody else is feeling. That's what happens when you've been a politician for so long that you forgot what it's like to be a real normal human being. Right now, there are reports of University of North Carolina I'm going to just read to you what it says on Fox News while we work to get more information out of Chapel Hill. UNC warns of armed and dangerous person on campus. We'll follow that. J.B. Pritzker slobbering all over Joe Biden there and talking about how he's the guy and comparing him in age to Donald Trump. Our YouTube live chat poll for today is, can Donald Trump win the presidency if Joe Biden isn't the Democratic nominee? Yes or no? I'm going to read a couple of comments here that we have set aside so far. Dirk said, I voted yes. If Trump is an option, he has a chance. Chris says, yes, Trump will win. Scooter says, puzzling poll. I don't understand the cogency of the argument that Biden isn't running for re-election. I mean, we could sit down and I could walk you through it, or you could just open your eyes.
Yeah.
You think he's the guy?
Joe Biden?
Yeah.
No. I think that's a disaster for the Democratic Party.
It is. It is currently.
Yeah.
And would continue to be.
I mean, like he's out there championing Bidenomics while people can't afford to put food on their tables and prices are going through the roof. And he's like, hey, it's working. We're building it from the middle up and the bottom out, or whatever it is he says. And it's not. I think putting Joe Biden on the ticket is the best chance, or it's the best odds the Republicans have to win. Joe Biden versus anybody on the Republican side. Joe Biden is the weakest candidate that the Democrats have.
Had this conversation this weekend with a family member of mine. Is Joe Biden or Kamala Harris easier to beat? I almost think Kamala is easier to beat.
Maybe.
And I hadn't even really, I always like Joe Biden would be the biggest gift to the Republic. And I'm like, well, wait a second here. Yeah. Let's think about this. I mean, I don't think Kamala Harris becomes the heir apparent. I know that she's the vice president. I know that would make the most sense. I have still said, and I stand by my expectation. I don't want to really say it's a prediction because I don't want to be so bold as to tell you what's going to happen in the future. But what I feel is the most likely outcome here is Hunter Biden is going to be in so much trouble that the loving father that Joe Biden not Hunter Biden, the loving father that Joe Biden has always been will translate nicely into pardoning his son. Everybody will understand. There will be biblical references made when Joe Biden does this for Hunter Biden. And because Joe Biden's actions there would be politically perilous for the Democrat Party, I think Joe Biden is going to step down. It will be for such a finite amount of time. He can't do the job anyway. He cannot do the job. Kamala Harris will step in and be sworn in as the vice president. And then the Democrat Party will say that due to the very short timeline that Kamala Harris will take a primary debate stage like anyone else will, and then the people will not vote Kamala Harris in because they don't like her. They didn't like her. Oh, man. Some of my favorite clips come from MSNBC after Kamala Harris dropped out of the Democratic primary before a vote was cast in Iowa, or caucus. And the panel just kept going on and on and on about how this country is not ready for a black woman to be the president. And, this just shows that America isn't ready for Kamala Harris and like all of these racist suggestions. Folks, it is a democratic primary process. There are not Republicans weighing in on who the Democratic nominee is going to be, unless it's an open primary and they're working their way in there. But I am not convinced that Republicans wouldn't see the great advantage of switching over parties in an open primary and pushing Kamala Harris across the finish line. The idea that Kamala Harris would then have to participate in a primary process and the Democrat Party would get to say, no, thanks. No, I don't think so. I think that that's likely. And then you get, I don't know, J.B. Pritzker in there. or Gavin Newsom or Gretchen Whitmer or one of these other Democratic governors across the country who would step in for that possibility, that chance to become the president of the United States, they'd be salivating all over it. They already are. Have you seen the reports that Joe Biden and Vice President Harris's camps are really miffed that Gavin Newsom and Ron DeSantis are going to debate?
I've not seen those reports.
They're very bothered by it. And I'm like, why? If you're all about the Democratic Party, you probably want your candidate to be in there debating. It's a brilliant move by DeSantis.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine. I mean, if Ron DeSantis wants to make the best case for what he can do in a conversation that I don't really know how you have it's very bizarre. A Sean Hannity moderated debate on Fox News where Gavin Newsom comes in and participates in a debate with Ron DeSantis. It's the Florida versus California debate.
Mm-hmm.
Californians vote Florida. They go to Florida from California. I don't think that conversation that would take place publicly in a Sean Hannity Fox News platform, good on Gavin Newsom. I mean, that's to me that shows me Gavin Newsom is looking to be the obvious heir apparent to Joe Biden's A, demise, B, retirement, whatever it might be. Does a Gavin Newsom debate with Ron DeSantis on Fox News? How does Trump infiltrate that? Because to me, the most productive conversations that are being had about what Republicans would do should they win office, which would include if Donald Trump wins office, because he would be a Republican who wins office. It's just you can't have Donald Trump be a part of that conversation without 50% of the country going, "You criminal!" You know, they've convicted him in the court of public opinion before he took the first oath of office. I think a Gavin Newsom, Ron DeSantis conversation would be very, very beneficial to Ron DeSantis and potentially politically advantageous for Gavin Newsom. Does Donald Trump become a part of that? Like, how does that get worked in there? How does Newsom do that?
Oh, man. I think Newsom uses Donald Trump as a zinger against Ron DeSantis because Ron DeSantis will be mopping the floor with him on policy. I think he would say something to the effect of, you aren't even beating Donald Trump, and Donald Trump has been indicted, blah, 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 blah.
Doesn't Ron DeSantis have the isn't that a huge, huge opportunity for Ron DeSantis to defend Donald Trump against the imbalanced justice system?
I think that would be. Now, whether or not he would, that remains to be seen. But
I think he would.
I would advise him to do that, but I don't know. It is an opportunity, but is that playing into Gavin Newsom's strategy also, or the Democrats' strategy?
Ron DeSantis does not. If for whatever reason Donald Trump isn't able to continue his run for president, because that's the only way any of this matters, Ron DeSantis has to have the Trump voter.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Convinced. Scratch all that. Ron DeSantis has to have Donald Trump's support. That's all that matters. Because the MAGA voters that are Trump only will support Donald Trump's blessed candidate. The entire conversation of the 2024 election is going to revolve around Donald Trump's court cases. And the January 6th trial is supposed to be in effect March 4th is the date that has been reported. And so we will be engaging in those types of conversations in the middle of a primary. That's the way it's going to continue to be. That's not going to change. Donald Trump, they're not going to drop all these charges from Donald Trump. It's part of the process now, and we're going to have to get used to it. And it will be very interesting to watch these other candidates try to push through this season. I just think that there are a lot of people who are convinced of how this thing is going to go. I'm not 100% sure we know that yet. I think the twists and turns are going to be pretty aggressive along the way. Meanwhile, in the world of states' rights and the idea that in different states across this country, we have so many different test kitchens for democracy and what the American people want in Missouri versus Illinois. Boy, there's a dichotomy right there. Andrew Bailey is the Attorney General for the state of Missouri, and he joined us last week to talk to us about the lawsuit against the puberty blockers and Missouri's law banning them for minors. And we have a result on that court case. And the Attorney General joins us when we return to talk to us about his fight in court and the direction that it took. How did your Attorney General do in court? We'll talk to him about it when we return.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Centric Security and Automation, that's Centric with a C. Centric Security and Automation knows that businesses have a significant responsibility to safeguard their property and employees, as well as any visitors that might be visiting their place of business, while also overseeing those daily operations. That's a really tall task to take on, and it's something that you can't push it off down the road. If an event happens and you don't have the security system in place to protect everything in your place of business, most importantly, those people, you're going to be wishing that you had called Centric Security and Automation at 314-442-6860 much earlier. A video surveillance system is your second set of eyes to watch over things that you're busy doing other important stuff to keep the business going. When you have that video surveillance system in place and functioning, I'm talking to you people who have cameras that look like they're working and they're not. They can work with that system that you already have set up and get it up and running and replace it with top-of-the-line technology in an affordable but smart way. Centric Security and Automation is located here in the Metro East, but they do business all over the St. Louis bi-state area and, honestly, nationally. Call them at 314-442-6860. That's 314-442-6860 and schedule an appointment today. CentricSTL.com.
Do you have over $10,000 in credit card debt? I'm Cindy Case, a certified debt specialist with accredited debt relief. And by making one quick free call to our specialist, you could be on the road to becoming debt-free. Just ask Katrinia, a real accredited debt relief client. Katrinia was laid off from her job and had to rely on credit cards to survive. Between multiple credit cards and unsecured loans, she could barely afford to make the minimum payments. But our team was able to get her one monthly payment she could afford, which put her on a path to paying off her debt faster than she thought possible. We have already helped more than 200,000 clients like Katrinia pay off more than $2 billion of unsecured debt and are rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau. Give us a call today and see how much you can save and how quickly you can become debt-free.
Get your no-obligation savings estimate today and be on the road to becoming debt-free. Call Accredited Debt Relief at 800-584-4433. 800-584-4433. That's 800-584-4433.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands to treat ED at up to 95% off. That's right, the same active ingredient as the brand name for 95% less. It's the same ED medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
Updating your home with James Hardie Siding has never been more popular. With all the options available, you need a partner to ensure you maximize your investment. Siding Express is ready to refresh the appearance of your home or totally transform the look by installing Hardie Shake, Board and Batten, lap siding, or a stone accent to make it your dream home again. Siding Express is an elite preferred James Hardie contractor. They also carry Anderson and Marvin windows and doors. Need ideas? Go to sidingexpress.com and schedule a free no-obligation consultation today. sidingexpress.com.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Save up to 20% on a new HVAC system when you bundle it with attic insulation. 9 out of 10 homes are under-insulated. For a free estimate on attic insulation, visit aircomfortservice.com.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
The Mark Reardon Show.
97.1 FM Talk political insider Scott Jennings.
For Ramaswamy, there is no path to the nomination. Trump is still in the race. Trump is not going anywhere.
Weekdays from 3 to 6 on 97.1 FM Talk. This is the Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
Legends and the myths,
Achilles and his gold, Achilles and his gifts, and Spider-Man's control, and Batman with his fist. And clearly I don't see myself upon that list. But she said, where'd you wanna go? How much you wanna risk? I'm not looking for somebody with some superhuman gifts, some superhero, some fairy tale bliss. Just something I can turn to, somebody I can kiss. I want something just like this.
Well, Mike, this ruling means that starting Monday, doctors will be prohibited from prescribing puberty blockers and hormone treatments to minors. Now, this also means that physicians that don't follow the law and violate it could not only lose their license, but also be sued by their patients.
So we spoke with the Attorney General for the state of Missouri, Andrew Bailey, last week as he was about to embark on the court case defending this new law in the state of Missouri banning puberty blockers for minors. And we're happy to bring back the Attorney General on the show today to talk about the results of that court case. Andrew Bailey, welcome back to the Andy Frey Show. It's a pleasure to have you here with us.
Hey, thank you so much for having me on. Proud to have delivered a win in the fight to protect children here in the state of Missouri.
You know, it's some of these issues that I talk about on a daily basis, I get so steeped in the politics of it and the push and pull of it that it's like, okay, this side, the good team won and the bad team lost. But then every once in a while, there's a story I'm covering, and I can't believe that we're fighting over particular issues. And this is one of them. Talk to me about the Missouri law banning puberty blockers for minors and who was opposed to that.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is all about protecting children. Let's go back a little further. I mean, what we know is that the national attitude on this issue has shifted dramatically in the past 12 months, and Missouri's been at the forefront of that. In February, a whistleblower came forward from a clinic here in St. Louis that made really specific and credible allegations of what amounts to child abuse at one of these clinics. It caused my office to launch an investigation to bring all hands on deck to root out this pernicious influence. And at the end of the day, we called for a moratorium. The clinic refused. Further investigation revealed a shadowy and clandestine network of these clinics operating across the state. We promulgated an emergency rule to stand in the gap and provide some kind of safeguards to patients that are undergoing these procedures and becoming victims to the system unless and until the General Assembly had time to get a bill done. The General Assembly did get a bill done. The governor signed it into law. It was set to go into effect. But before that could happen, Lambda Legal and the ACLU filed suit to try to stop the law, to try to block it. And we went to court. We put our evidence on. We cross-examined their evidence. And we're the first state in the nation to have defeated the attempt to block a law like this at the trial court level. I'm so proud of the work that we've done to protect kids. But look at what the judge said on paragraph 10 of his order, that the science and medical evidence is conflicting and it causes more questions than answers, that it's unclear that there's any medical benefit to puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, or physical sterilization of children. Well, of course there was never any science to back this up. So to your point, yeah, I mean, how could anyone argue against this?
We're speaking with Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey, and we heard that Fox 2 report from Emily Manley talking about how doctors will be prohibited from providing this gender-affirming care to minors. I mean, it's more than just gender-affirming care, and I think that one of the key things that really takes me aback when I'm researching this is how aggressive some of these institutions were in applying medical solutions to a problem that deserved a lot of psychological therapy. Instead, we're like, this is part of the process. And then you end up engaging in things with minor children that will affect the rest of their lives. How do we get to a place in society where our political push is so much more important than the longevity of what we're going to do to kids in the name of it?
Well, that's absolutely right. I mean, look, the depravity of the left outpaces our statutory frameworks. And so, they come up with Looney Tune ideas that harm people and make our communities less safe, make people less safe faster than the General Assembly can pass laws to prohibit it. And who would have thought 20 years ago that we'd have to be stopping medical professionals from sterilizing children? Yet that's the world we live in today. But go back to the evidence that we put on in court. I mean, we had an expert testify that children who receive hormone therapy instead of psychological or psychiatric treatments are more likely to be suicidal. So these quote-unquote gender-affirming care wasn't helping kids, it was making it worse.
Yeah.
There's no health care about it, and that's the whole point. we made their experts testify and cross-examine them. They had to admit that the studies they were relying on were based on weak science, and they were ignoring the studies coming out of Europe showing that these are dangerous procedures that have long-term negative health consequences. But perhaps most importantly, we put detransitioners on, people that had fallen victim to this kind of abuse as children and are now living that life sentence with the negative long-term health consequences, and put all that evidence on in court. And that was important to get that out in the public domain so the mainstream media can't run and hide from it. The headlines may be Missouri blocks gender-affirming care, but we know what the court said is that there is no evidence to support that there's any health care involved in this at all.
We're speaking with the Attorney General for the state of Missouri, Andrew Bailey. So this applies to the state of Missouri. How do you expect your success in court last week on this really, really hot-button issue to affect maybe other states in the union or maybe federal law eventually?
Well, it's just one more brick in a wall. And I'll tell you, we were proud to partner with other like-minded state attorneys general on this effort. You know, we coordinated with them before this. Many states have undergone the same kind of legal challenge to similar laws. And so learning from their experiences and what they did right, what they wish they'd done differently. And we wove all of that fabric together into a winning legal strategy. We're going to hand that playbook off to the next state. And a lot of states were holding on passing these laws to see how the legal landscape shifted. But this is a huge win in the fight to protect children, and not only in Missouri, but nationally. Also proud to see that in Alabama, the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals just last week held that the state of Alabama had a compelling interest justifying a similar law. So not only is public opinion changing on this, but the legal landscape is shifting as well in our favor. And again, this is just one more win in that fight. And I'll tell you, shining the light of truth on this issue is what I think forms the public opinion on this issue.
So I want to ask you a question here, a comment. So people are listening to us and, of course, streaming us on the YouTube channel where we stream the live broadcast here. And here's a detractor. His name's Mike. And he says hormone blockers are not the first tool doctors use. Instead, it's a series of meetings to determine what is best for the children, including psychiatric care. You were just in court. You just put these people under oath and you asked them questions like this. What do you say to Mike's comment?
Yeah, 2 points to make there. First of all, Jamie Reed, the whistleblower from the clinic here in St. Louis, who testified under oath in the affidavit, said that patients were being denied access to mental health services or any kind of mental health assessment. Instead, were being rushed to puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones, for which there are 0 FDA approvals for the treatment of gender dysphoria. But I'd also point out that our own expert in court testified that why would we treat this mental disorder differently? In the DSM-5, if gender dysphoria is a mental health condition, why is it the only one that we race to hormone treatments instead of traditional psychotherapy?
Yeah, I just think it's important to get those challenges out there to you and let you defend it, because you literally defended it in court last week. If you don't mind, we're speaking with Attorney General Andrew Bailey, the state of Missouri's Attorney General. I'd like to shift real quick while I have you on the line to talk a little bit about what the former president of the United States, Donald Trump, has experienced in 4 indictments across the country and 91 felonies. We find out now that the court date for the January 6th indictment is going to be March 4th. And I just wanted to get your legal reaction to the justice system, which you have sworn an oath to defend this Constitution of the United States. I just want to know what your thoughts are, Andrew Bailey, on the justice system and the application to Donald Trump.
Yeah, it's absolutely shameful. These rogue prosecutors in the federal Department of Justice are weaponizing the criminal justice system to attack political opponents. That's not the way this country is supposed to operate. It sets a shameful precedent. These individuals should be ashamed of themselves and should watch their back and wonder if they're not going to be targeted by political opponents as well. I mean, that's what this is devolving into, and it was never supposed to be this way. We know there's a 2-tiered system of justice when it comes to the Department of Justice. Look at what the evidence we've uncovered in our case, Missouri v. Biden, in the First Amendment challenge, where we can show that President Biden has used big tech social media to censor conservative voices. Anyone that speaks out in opposition to Joe Biden or his policy positions, he has them censored on big tech social media. So he's also, I mean, this is a fight on all sorts of fronts. He's weaponizing the criminal justice system to silence conservative voices and go after political opponents and our political heroes like President Donald Trump, and it's absolutely deplorable.
Do you believe, Andrew Bailey, do you believe that Donald Trump is going to be convicted of any of these charges?
I am concerned, but I think that ultimately the law doesn't support a conviction. So even if the trial court were to convict him, my hope and prayer would be that at the end of the day, an appellate court interpreting the law would realize that the law was never meant to cover the facts as presented in these indictments, that it's a perversion of the law. It undermines the rule of law to try to extend the law to cover facts that were not contemplated or not supported by the evidence.
And as an attorney, the Attorney General for the state of Missouri, you're also a politician. You know what it's like to run campaigns and the importance of timelines and fundraising and everything that goes into that. If in an appellate court at some point after a conviction is made, if this all happens in 436 days or more, which would be a day after the election, do we live in a country now where as long as you can make this last as long as you need to politically, that this is just the way it goes for a citizen of the United States?
No, that's unacceptable. We need to look to those individuals who are promulgating this lie, who are pushing this political agenda, who have weaponized the criminal justice system, and hold them accountable for election interference.
Andrew Bailey, the Attorney General for the state of Missouri, fighting for Missourians and for common sense. And we're always grateful when we get the opportunity to speak with you. Thanks for being with us today.
Hey, thanks for having me on. All the best to you and your listeners.
Yes, you as well. Keep fighting the good fight. You can check him out on Twitter at AG Andrew Bailey, ago.mo.gov, if you want to check out the website where you can access his info. Let's take a quick break. More Annie Frey Show around the corner. The YouTube live chat poll today. Can Donald Trump win the presidency if Joe Biden isn't the Democratic nominee? Yes or no? I need your reaction. I'll feature some of your comments when we return, and we will continue to chat about it and get to the latest news. There's some breaking news in North Carolina at the University of North Carolina. It's kind of a frightening situation. We will give you what we know about that when we return.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
The legends and the myths, the testaments they told, the moon and its eclipse, and Superman unrolls the suit before he lived. But I'm not the kind of person that it fits. She said, where'd you wanna go? How much you wanna risk? I'm not looking for somebody with some superhuman gifts, some superhero, some fairy tale bliss, just something I can turn to, somebody I can miss. I want something just like this.
It's coming to be that time of year where your throat is scratchy, you get congested, the allergy season sets in, and you just feel like junk all of the time. I want you to know about Gateway ENT. If you go online right now to gatewaydrs.com, you are going to learn about the team of ENTs, includes Dr. Scott Hardiman, who was a guest of ours last Friday, talking about the latest COVID hysteria that people are trying to push into your anxiety sphere. And he was very common sense about it, as always, which is why we bring him on. All of the ENTs at Gateway ENT can help you navigate all of these issues you've just always felt like you had to deal with. You don't have to necessarily deal with them. In many cases, he's been able to the ENTs there can dramatically help your symptoms and improve them. And you might have been dealing with them for your whole life. Don't put them off any longer. If you have an ear, nose, or throat concern, you want to go to a private practice that's going to keep you at the epicenter of the care. Their referrals are about what's best for you, not some big system that they're trying to serve. They're out there to serve you, and they're incredibly good at it. I've had so many people reach out to me after going to see one of the ENTs at Gateway ENT and say, thank you. That was way easier than I thought it was going to be, and I wish I would have done it a long time ago. So start today. Call them at 314-843-3828, 314-843-3828, online at gatewaydrs.com.
If you're looking at new windows for your house, choose wisely. Mark Cox here for my friends at Window World. You want to go with a company you can trust. Ranked #1 in the number of windows sold in the country. That's according to Qualified Remodeler magazine. In just over 20 years in business, they've improved the look and obviously the thermal efficiency of over 70,000 customers in St. Louis. They're going to give you a lifetime warranty that covers all the parts and the glass breakage and the labor. It's a good product. Call them at 314-993-1800 for your free estimate. That's 314-993-1800. Window World won the Good Housekeeping Seal of Approval. That's not easy. They rely on the expertise of their in-house engineers and their analysts and their product experts to give that seal of approval. That should matter to you as well. Call for your free estimate right now. Simply the best for less at Window World. 314-993-1800, windowworld.com.
Hi, this is Brian with Velocity Home Buyers, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call me at 314-782-3000. 3333. I can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition and any price range in the St. Louis area. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy more. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Do you own a house that needs updating, but you don't have the time or money for it? Great, because I love buying outdated houses. I buy vacant houses, job relocation houses, and foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at 314-782-3333. That's 314-782-3333.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com or call us toll-free at 888-367-6512.
Hello, everybody. I'm John Rooney. Do you have an old car that's taking up room in the driveway? Repairs are costly and selling is a hassle? That's why you should donate it to Goodwill. Donating is quick and towing is free. Plus, you get a tax receipt and 4 tickets to a Cardinals game, compliments of the St. Louis Cardinals. That's a win-win. For more information or to donate, visit online at mersgoodwill.org. Must mention Cardinals.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-652-5241 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-652-5241. That's 800-652-5241. What do you have to lose? Call 800-652-5241. Again, 800-652-5241.
Together Credit Union is the official banking partner of St. Louis City SC, which means Together Credit Union is the only place to find the official City SC debit card, which comes with special perks. There's no cost for the City SC debit card, so don't wait and sign up today online at togethercu.org. Together Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
I'm Jim Onder. Have questions after being injured in an accident? We'll match you with the Onder Law team that's right for you and your case.
Onder Law. Call 314 or 618-900,000 to learn more.
Today's YouTube live chat poll is, can Donald Trump win the presidency if Joe Biden isn't the Democratic nominee? A hypothetical question, but we do want to know your answer. Yes or no? Can Donald Trump win the presidency if Joe Biden isn't the Democrat nominee? Log on to the Annie Frey YouTube page and let us know what you think. The time is currently 1:44. This update is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
You could be watching this right now. Tune into the Annie Frey Show live stream. YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, Twitter. You know what? Just type in Annie Frey Show live stream.
We go together, better than birds of a feather, you and me.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
I've been dancing on top of cars and stumbling out of bars. I follow you through the dark, can't get enough. You're the medicine and the pain, the tattoo inside my brain, and baby, you know it's obvious. I'm a sucker for you.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. The YouTube live chat poll for today. Join us on the Annie Frey YouTube channel, broadcasting live there. Come say hi in the chat and meet some new friends. And you can vote in the live chat poll, which is, can Donald Trump win the presidency if Joe Biden isn't the Democratic nominee? Yes or no? I want to dip in right now to Fox News' coverage of an active shooter person at the University of North Carolina. Let's just listen in and get a couple of the details here because it's all happening in real time. Go ahead.
As soon as possible.
There's a lot of student accounts that are weighing in about their sheltering in place, obviously talking about how terrifying this is. This would be the first full week of classes for these kids. And Chris, this is tough. This is tough for them to see this happening. Some students are tweeting that they're on campus right now. They're being told to stay in place. There's not a lot of discussion happening, and this is how we get a lot of information, although unconfirmed, about people actively seeing what happened and seeing shots fired. Is that interesting to you, Chris?
It is.
Joe, I'm sorry, Joe.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Joe.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Repeat the question, Sandra. I'm
Joe,
sorry.
just as far as the flow of information, we're not seeing a lot of images of when these, and this person on campus, or what actually happened as far as hearing the shots fired, what prompted the initial phone call. We're still really vague on the details of what prompted this emergency and this manhunt.
Well, I'm sure there was a call for shots fired, and they actually identified the area where the shots came from. All right. Right now, everything with the boots on the ground, everybody's out there putting the cameras into place, following that person from the point of the shooting to where that person may have gone to, and to see if they're actually still on campus. That's all being done, as well as outside the campus. All right. But there's so many different aspects of this investigation. They're not going in just one direction. Right now, they're going in about 7 or 8 directions to find out. Each person has got a job to do. Each unit's got a job to do, securing that location and going after this perp that's armed and dangerous. So that's key right now. But the fact that they have him identified helps tremendously, because, like I said, you don't know how he's inside the school. Is he on foot, or did he bring a vehicle? Is he on a bicycle? Is he on a motorcycle? You don't know until you start putting these pieces together. And that's why the police are letting out his photo right now, so people can see this person. The people that know him will say, hey, John Doe is over here. I just saw him, and that's it. So that's why it's fluid right now.
Joe and Chris, another update from the Daily Tar Heel here. Again, these are unconfirmed reports that are coming to us from the local school media. Update here: police confirmed that one person died at the scene. 2 other individuals were victims of gunshot wounds and were transported to UNC hospitals. Another person suffered injuries, which I guess did not require being sent to the hospital. The shooting is being investigated, obviously, as a homicide. Chapel Hill Police Department said that there is no ongoing threat, which, and you know what? I'm sorry, that is an old post. So just erase that, never mind. That is an old post, but clearly this has happened before. So just ignore that I said that. But I was about to say before I saw that, and again, that's an old report from UNC Chapel Hill Police. I was saying that there doesn't appear to be any action at the hospitals at this point. We haven't seen anything cross the wires. We haven't heard anything in local reports. So maybe that is some good news. And again, my apologies. That was an old report, but in these early moments of these things happening, sometimes information gets a little confused. But Chris, do you take that as a good sign that we don't have any reports from the hospitals at this point?
I absolutely do. I mean, there's a hospital right on the campus there. So if there had been that type of activity at that hospital, that would be out there on the social networks, and we would know about it by now.
Yeah.
I think the other silver lining, if there is one, is we've not heard about any hostage situations, no barricaded person, no standoff. You know, if you look at the map of the campus here, those labs, or that particular area, is literally right in the heart of the campus. It is right next to the bell tower. It's right beside the library. It's near the football stadium. This is one of those campuses that has a football stadium right on campus. It's pretty heavily wooded, so there are plenty of places to hide yourself on that campus. If you were to touch the gun and just decide to lay low and blend in, that could easily be done.
So we are listening to reports of an active situation right now at the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And it seems kind of convoluted. Initially there was an active, I don't even know if they said active shooter situation or if it was like an active situation, but we're sitting in here, we're doing our show, and we see this taking over the screens. And it kind of seems like they have mixed information as to what is actually going on, but knowing that the local hospitals there aren't being flooded with victims is
Right.
encouraging. So hopefully, I mean, the best case scenario here is that this turns out to be a no pun intended, jump the gun scenario of reporting where maybe it wasn't what was first anticipated.
Yeah, it seems to me like the initial reports were an armed suspect on campus. So there wasn't even, when I saw the chyron, the first chyron I saw, I didn't even mention shots fired or anything like that. And I don't know that we have any reporting of that either. So like you were saying, it's hopefully there's nobody's hurt from this, and they're able to catch this suspect and bring them in and without any injury to anyone.
Yeah. So we'll watch it. We'll report on it as the show continues to progress here, and hopefully it amounts to nothing, and it doesn't materialize into the tragedy that so many times we have seen before. Jacksonville, Florida, experienced a shooting this weekend, and it was a white individual who wrote a manifesto. They haven't released this manifesto yet, to my knowledge. And I'll give that a few days before I go into that. But the reports that I read showed this individual, white male, wrote an incredibly racist suicide note, told his dad, go break into my bedroom and, read what I left for you, whatever, and shoots and kills some Black Americans in Jacksonville, Florida. It's just a really disgusting, tragic story. Ron DeSantis was in Florida. He's there for this. There's a hurricane, Idalia. Is that what we're going with?
Idalia.
We watched like a 4-minute package on the hurricane at a break, trying to figure out, is it Idalia or Idalia? I think it's Idalia. But Ron DeSantis left the campaign trail to go back and do what governors should do and be present there in Florida, and he spoke on the issue.
I would like to say a few additional words about what happened in Jacksonville yesterday. Florida, the state, and its people condemn the horrific racially motivated murders perpetrated by a deranged scumbag in Jacksonville at the Dollar General store. Perpetrating violence of this kind is unacceptable, and targeting people due to their race has no place in the state of Florida. Casey and I extend condolences to the victims and their families on behalf of the entire state of Florida. I've spoken with Jacksonville Mayor Deegan, Sheriff Waters, and President Faison from Edward Waters College. We will work with Dr. Faison to ensure the college has adequate security, just like we've done when our Jewish day schools have been receiving threats. We're not going to allow in the state of Florida our HBCUs to be targets for hateful lunatics like the guy yesterday.
Hateful lunatics, I think that's a pretty clear message from the governor there. And as he was going to speak at this event, he did receive some heckling while he took the podium.
We are not going to allow these institutions to be targeted by people.
Okay, listen, y'all. Let me tell you, we finna put parties aside, cause it ain't about parties today. A bullet don't know a party, so don't get me started.
I kind of would like to get her started. I kind of want to know more. I want to know more from her. It's another tragic end to a story that is centered around hate. One of the most in vogue things in this country right now is hate. And there is not a political party that is completely innocent of it, because hate doesn't really have a political affiliation. And I think she's right about that. The Bullet doesn't have a political party, but everything that they want to tell you out there is that it does, because everything has to have a political lean to it all the time. When Americans are living under incredibly politically charged circumstances, communities are told to see, judge, and act, as opposed to pause and listen and react. We will continue to see mentally ill people charged with hatred do horrific things. And I don't think that there's a political solution to that. I don't think that Ron DeSantis is going to become the president of the United States. Certainly not Donald Trump. He's not going to, if Donald Trump becomes the president of the United States, he's not going to unite this country. That's not why people are sending Donald Trump to be the president of the United States. There will be people who will profit and continue to absorb power because Donald Trump, the arch enemy, is the president of the United States. The solution to all of this hatred, it's not going to be found in a political party. We're going to have to find a higher calling for a solution to that. All right, stick around. More updates and all the breaking news when we return.
Are you nearing retirement or already retired and wondering how long your money will last? Are you also sick of worrying about losing your life savings in the next market crash? I'm Thomas Helbig with the Retirement Advisory Group.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw. As a family business, we are committed to protecting your retirement, whether you're nearing retirement or already retired. Let us build your own personalized structured income plan, which will show you how much income you can receive in retirement, but more importantly, it will show you how long your money will last. Stop wondering if you have enough to retire comfortably.
Call us now at 314-993-9494 for a no-cost, no-obligation retirement review. We'll teach you the strategies you won't hear from your broker or banker. And just for coming in, you'll get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. We've been helping our clients retire with confidence for the past 37 years. Let us help you. So go online at retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
What are you doing this weekend? I hope that you're going to check out the Fairview Heights, Illinois Midwest Wing Fest. This is a wonderful food and music festival that's going to benefit combat wounded soldiers and families of local fallen heroes. And some of the amazing things that the people who are putting Midwest Wing Fest on have been able to do, we're talking local people. You can learn about more of it at midwestwingfest.com, and you can check out the great event, again, in Fairview Heights, Illinois. It's this weekend, September 1st and 2nd, Friday and Saturday. And I want to encourage you to go enjoy the evening, enjoy the afternoon at Midwest Wing Fest. It starts on Friday. I'm going to be there in the VIP tent from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., and I really would love to hang out with you. So come join us in the VIP tent for unlimited chicken wings and from Dandy Inn and beer from Chick Fritz Distributing, as well as private restrooms. I'll be there. The crew will be there, and we would love to see you. Get your tickets right now by going to midwestwingfest.com/events.
Some days I cover up because of my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Now I'm hitting the road with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieved 90% clearer skin at 4 months. And Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers GetJim.com studio. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
A scary situation on campus. I'm Kevin Uretsky, Fox News. The University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill warning of an armed, dangerous person on or near campus this afternoon. This remains an ongoing situation. The school sending out an alert just before 2:30 Eastern that the suspect remains at large. Meanwhile, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre commenting today on the racially targeted fatal shooting of 3 black people by a white man at a Dollar General store in Jacksonville, Florida over the weekend.
We continue searching for answers. We must say clearly and forcefully that white supremacy has no place in America.
The shooter took his own life after that attack. People in Florida also preparing for the arrival of Tropical Storm Idalia, expected to be a significant hurricane when it arrives late tomorrow or early Wednesday.
Storm surge watches and warnings all the way from Fort Myers into the Panhandle. Expected to be a Category 3 storm going off of the coast near Tampa, making its way into the Big Bend area.
Fox Weather's Robert Ray in Clearwater Beach. In Washington, U.S. District Court Judge Tanya Chutkan has set a March 4th trial date for former President Donald Trump in the Washington, D.C. federal case, charging him with trying to overturn the results of the 2020 election.
The next day, March 5th, is Super Tuesday, a crucial test for the primary season. Judge Chutkan today made the announcement in court that Donald Trump is not immune from following the schedule of this trial. She said that she's not taking his campaigning schedule into consideration by any means.
Fox's David Spunt, the former president, says he will appeal the date, posting that. On Truth Social, he'll also be arraigned September 6th in the Georgia state case, alleging efforts to overturn the election results there. America is listening to Fox News.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
A nice dome of Canadian high pressure settling in, and we're all about sunshine this afternoon with great temperatures and humidity levels. 82 for the high. Tonight, clear skies, 70s for evening plans, 59-60 for the overnight low. Tuesday and Wednesday, all remains quiet sunshine, 85 for the high each day. This is 97.1 FM Talk, Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Stewart's American Mortgage is the home of the bagel loan. It's the only place you can go get the bagel loan. It's Stlouis. He made it up, and it is how he has, one of the reasons why he has been so successful in the lending business, helping people just like you with your mortgage refinance. Yes, rates have gone up, but right now might be the best time for you to buy, because if rates end up coming back down, the competition on the price of those homes is going to continue to skyrocket. And as much as they are trying to manipulate everything in the economy and who's spending how much money, right now when you work with Stlouis and the bagel loan, you're going to get a great opportunity to make the best offer on that house. When you work with Stewart's American Mortgage, he is there to make sure that you are the most competitive person making an offer. When you don't pay anything in closing costs, let me repeat that, you don't pay anything in closing costs with the bagel loan, you are going to be able to use that money maybe to put towards the total offer on the house, maybe to do some improvements that you don't feel like you're going to have to fight for in negotiations for a house on the home that you want to get. If you are looking to get pre-approval letters, you can, once you're pre-approved, just generate them on the website yourself so you're not waiting on third parties. Stlouis is there to make the process as smooth and as aggressive as he possibly can so you can get the house you want to make your home. 314-324-4440. Call or text 314-324-4440. You can Google the bagel loan as well at MLS number 226715.
I'm Jack Wagner, host of the show Otherworld, a podcast that tells stories of real people who experience something paranormal or unexplained. Before Otherworld, I wasn't even interested in the paranormal. That changed when I realized how many people are out there who have experienced something extraordinary and never told anyone about it. I started this show to take a grounded approach to the paranormal, help people tell their stories in their own words, and encourage more people to come forward with their own. Listen to Otherworld now for free on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Station KFTK, an equal opportunity employer, is dedicated to providing a broad outreach for job vacancies at our stations. We seek the help from local community organizations in referring qualified applicants to our stations. Community organizations that wish to receive our job vacancy information can reach out to Frankie Fan at 206-577-2432. In addition, all listeners are encouraged to visit Odyssey.com for an online listing of job vacancies of all Odyssey radio stations.
1 in 4 car batteries is weak and needs to be replaced. Let the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts test your battery for free. They can also help you find the best Superstart battery for your vehicle. Learn more at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Not just right and left, right and wrong. We're discussing it every day on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. This hour of the Annie Frey Show is brought to you by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Grateful that you're here with us on a beautiful Monday afternoon here in St. Louis. We're following a situation unfolding in Chapel Hill, North Carolina at the University of North Carolina. The UNC has warned of an armed and dangerous person, but reports are conflicted about what kind of damage has been done or what the current scenario is. So we're just going to keep our eye on it. Just want to make sure that you're aware of it if you have someone in at the as a Tar Heel, UNC. Just something that we are watching unfold here and want to make you aware of that news. I want to shift gears a little bit to a conversation that I'm watching unfold in social media through influencers as well. But it's really spawned outside, I think, or from, I should say, this whole big conversation we've been having about gender. I mean, gosh, Brad, I don't even know what I would call mainstream or not, because you kind of have to subject yourself to the idea that a gender spectrum is a mainstream idea.
Yeah.
I remember being in psychology. I can't remember what the specific class was, but it was one of the the 200 level psychology classes in college. It wasn't. I'm gonna look it up as if they're still the same as they were in 2004 or 5 or whenever I was in college. And I remember listening to the professor teach, because I feel like it was a psychology of gender. I feel like maybe I don't know if that's possible. But the professor, I remember distinctly the table that I was sitting in the classroom I was in, when the professor said specifically that there is a difference between biological sex and gender, and that your gender was not directly connected to your biological sex. And I remember going, okay, tell me more about this. What are you talking about? Because this was a brand new concept for me as far as being educated in a place of higher learning, that you would be saying that boys aren't boys and girls aren't girls. It's not that simple. I think we watched Kinsey, which had Liam Neeson in as Dr. Kinsey, and he's a sex psychologist and did a lot of research on all of this. And I remember spending at least one what would have been 90-minute class period or whatever discussing the gender spectrum. And at that time, I bet you 2/3 of the people in that classroom were like, what is this professor talking about? I wonder if in that same classroom, in that same class with that same lesson now, if it would be the converse where 1/3 of the people would be saying, what is this professor talking about? Or if it would even be that big. So I think that the idea that gender is somehow or another a spectrum in a secular cultural conversation, I think that people are accepting that gender isn't as specific as it was maybe in the 80s and 90s growing up, boy, girl.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree?
Yeah.
At least the conversation of. I mean, we could have our disagreements about what is and what isn't. So you have that's all based in that one word, identity. The conversation about gender is a conversation that goes hand in hand with an individual's perceived identity. And Brad, I feel like I'll just ask you, how do you identify? I'm not asking in the confines of that conversation, but if somebody would say, like, Brad, who are you? What do you identify as? What would be important for you to tell people?
Oh, geez. I think I would lead with a Christian. I'm a Christian. I'm a husband. I'm a brother. Geez. I don't get asked that all that often. Just a regular guy. I like cars, that sort of thing. I wouldn't dive into too much other stuff.
It's interesting to me that the first three things you said are who you are in relation to other people.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's how we used to identify ourselves, is how do I fit into where we are right now based on the people around you? This whole narcissistic movement of everything, Brad, is about you. Well, why did you not explain to me if you are a male? How, why you said you were a husband, but that doesn't tell me who is on the other side of that relationship. Why was it not important for me to know about you, like what your sexuality is, how you identify, the things that you want me to say when I talk to you, or especially pronouns, guys. Side note, pronouns are usually what you say when you're talking about someone. And it always kind of it's always kind of funny to me that if I were going to use Brad's pronouns, which I would assume are he and him, but you know what happens when you assume. If I'm out talking to Ryan Wiggins about Brad, I would be saying he and him. But if I'm talking to Brad, I'm saying, hey, Brad.
Yeah.
And I'm saying things like you.
Yeah, second person pronouns.
Yeah. So to me, it's like pronouns are a policing of what people say when you're not even around them. So anyway, I digress. In the 2023 world, we want everybody to understand the me part of it. But when you say I'm a Christian, if one understands what your definition of a Christian is, that is who you are in relation to your God.
Mm-hmm.
When you say I'm a husband, that's who you are in relationship to the person you've chosen to spend the rest of your life with. When you say you're a brother, that tells me about the importance in your life of where your relationship is to your family. Now we raise people to say, I'm a female, I'm a cis female, I'm a cis white female, and my pronouns are she, her, so this is how you will speak of me when you speak of me. It's just so me. It has nothing to do with anyone else. And in fact, the only time you come into the conversation when someone is speaking like this is when you have been dictated to how you will behave around me. Wow. What an altar to worship at. The altar of self, which is always the altar that you worship at when you're not worshiping at the altar of God. There is, out of this conversation about identity and gender, I think it's safe to say that it has been an attack on the idea of traditional gender roles. But I don't understand how you can have a conversation about gender that is in the secular society that we're in. This conversation is surrounded by how you identify yourself. So how can it not be on the spectrum of gender identifications that on that spectrum exists traditional gender roles? The idea of being traditional would have to exist in the spectrum of being non-traditional, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Also, if you can be non-binary, there would have to be a gender binary, and it couldn't be a spectrum. But they would say that is part of the spectrum. Those that are proponents of this ideology would also say that it's a spectrum, like you were talking about. So I don't know. There's just, to me, there's not a whole lot of logic that goes along in this. And again, like you were saying, the me, myself, and I thing, it's really about how people feel about themselves. And they want to make sure that you understand this is how I feel.
Jason Howerton is an influencer who champions traditional male roles in society. And I'm leaning hard into people who are talking about these traditional roles as somehow counterculture to the way secular society is moving down the timeline right now. Very weird for something that is traditional to also at the same time be counterculture, because by virtue of being traditional, it would be culture. But the other counterculture movement has become, I don't know that it's become so big, it's become so loud and so publicly prevalent. I don't think that it is mainstream, but it is the loudest. That the idea of stepping into the conversation in defense of something that is traditional now seems countercultural. Is it countercultural? I don't know how many counters we can line up in one conversation, but wherever it is not mainstream to say things like this.
I think where we're becoming like, I say this ironically, arch enemies on this topic is like, you guys kind of seem like you want to exploit the current culture to the best of your ability. I'm more of like a resist guy, and maybe that's naive of me, but I'm more like that. I'm resisting this new reality, and I want to create the type of men who are better than this.
Trying to create some sort of movement that asks men to be better than they are being right now.
You're giving the ideal, which I agree with, but I'm giving the real of what they really are dealing with. These women are not the same, dude. Like if it was 1953 and the girls came, from a God-fearing household, they had their father in place, religion was a thing, shame was a thing, there was no social media, women actually were women and they were feminine and they weren't the masculine, butchering, ridiculous women that they are nowadays, I would tell you, yes, let's do it. But unfortunately, I cannot dispense that advice.
That's pushback on Jason Howerton, who is talking about how men need to adapt to the women of today. And I mean, he says some things there that if you're female, you're thinking, well, that's really offensive. What did he say? The masculine, there
was no social media. Women actually were women and they were feminine and they weren't the masculine, butchering, ridiculous women that they are nowadays.
Is he wrong? Is he right? The question that they're discussing back and forth is about what the expectation of men should be in today's society if they want something further than pleasure. And I'm going to share this tweet because I don't think that we have the clip that precedes this, which is where Jason Howerton is talking about how men need to be pursuing purpose over pleasure. And that if you listen to the pressures of secular society and what was the original counterculture, which is the opposite of traditional gender roles and traditional expectations, if it feels good, do it. Period. There is one rule, and that is the rule. And if it feels good and you do it, and then that is fleeting, then you better do it again to get that dopamine hit so that you feel good again. Because that's what matters here is how you feel. That's the end total of your purpose in life, is to make sure that you serve those things and don't listen to the pressures of everybody else, that you serve the things inside of you that make you happy and that you work on me. And how come that's so unfulfilling? How come we have so many young men and young women who are so incredibly unfulfilled while they're spending the entirety of their time trying to fulfill their whims? It's difficult to understand a natural biological urge to move yourself through life to the point where you would start a family, that you would find somebody who you would promise your life to, that you would serve that person, not that you would be served by that person. You have to have a servant mentality where when you engage in a relationship with somebody that you have spent enough time with, that you know enough, that you would give yourself to that person, that how can you live that life and be serving yourself the entire time? It is incompatible. And the idea of having children, the idea of growing a family is even more incompatible to the self-serving lifestyle that some fringe political movement is trying to push upon people, that in a way that has been made to feel as though it's mainstream because that part of the movement is so loud. I'm not here to say that those who don't want to get married, don't want to have kids, don't want to have any of the extra stuff, want to be free spirits to do what they want when they want, that lifestyle in America gets to exist as much as any individual wants to have it exist. But the pressures to make that your priority are far greater in volume, turned up to be the loudest thing that young people in this country hear today, to where it is misleading that that is going to be the thing that fulfills your purpose the most. It is emasculating of men. It is masculating women. And what most biological people feel is the urge to partner with somebody and to, create a family of two people that might turn into 3 or 4 or 5 people. It denies basic scientific biological facts. So again, I say, while the one can and does and will continue to exist, why is it so necessary to emasculate men who want to be traditional men? And I'm going to ask Brad this when we come back. Is that the first domino in completely reshaping society as we knew it to be something else that is potentially more controllable by other entities? Does it first start with the complete and total emasculation of men? I'd love to know what you think about this as well. Join us on the Annie Frey YouTube chat. Comment along, and I'll ask Brad that question when we come back. Don't go away.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Window World is where you can go to buy one window, to buy all the windows, and make sure that you get a wonderful experience. They are one of the 2 windows with the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. When you call 314-993-1800, that's 314-993-1800, you will find out the window that you can purchase that is simply the best for less. They offer 18 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. So they help make it a more affordable process to go through. If you've got those windows that get all the dew up in there, they don't have the seal anymore. They were installed when the house was built. The house is 30 years old. You need new windows. You knew you needed windows when you moved into that house maybe, and now you need to get those windows replaced. As we are working on transitioning from crazy hot outside to eventually winter will be here, and you'll be wanting to make sure that that energy efficiency of those windows is intact. Reach out to Window World and start the conversation today. They involve a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor. Window World is there to make this process simple and affordable. If you have any questions or you want a free in-home estimate, reach out to Window World at 314-993-1800. You can find them online right now at windowworld.com.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing. Together, millions of things for our planet. Some are items like garden hoses, pool toys, and lawn chairs are not recyclable and best donated to charity. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
Okay, so you filed your taxes this year, but you know you have past IRS issues. And now the IRS letters are coming. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. Don't ignore those IRS letters. They're important and give you rights and deadlines to defend yourself. Waiting could cause you to lose those rights. Call the Lance Story Law Firm now and let us help you get ahead of the IRS and defend your rights while you still have time. The Lance Story Law Firm is located here in St. Louis, so take the first step and hire a tax resolution attorney. We've made it super easy to schedule your free consultation in person, or you can do a phone call and save travel time. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Lance Story Law Firm. Call today at 314-238-7360. That's 314-238-7360. Or go visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
St. Louis physician Dr. Abicki created Neovitin 15 years ago to help support his own nutrition when he needed it most. Since then, Neovitin has helped thousands of people support their daily nutrition with sensible doses of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and Dr. Abicki's proprietary blend. If you're ready to join many St. Louisans in supporting their nutrition, give Neovitin a try. You can find Neovitin at your local Schnucks, Dierbergs, and online at neovitin.com.
Attention taxpayers. If you or your business owe the IRS back taxes or have years of unfiled tax returns, the IRS has green-lighted billions of dollars in tax relief to those facing financial hardship through its tax relief initiatives. If you have a delinquent tax problem and possibly facing wage garnishment, liens, levies, audits, or already in a payment plan, you may now qualify for significant relief. Qualifying and enrolling in this program could stop all collections, settle your tax problem, and may even reduce what you owe by up to 99%. Call the hotline at Tax Help USA to see if you qualify and receive your free tax assessment by dialing 800-210-1005. If you or your business owe back taxes to the IRS or state, you can now get the help that you need during these hard economic times. Get your free tax assessment to see what you qualify for by dialing 800-210-1005. 800-210-1005. That's 800-210-1005.
For over a century, AM radio has evolved to meet the needs of our community. More than 80 million listeners depend on AM radio each month. It's also the backbone of the emergency alert system, keeping us safe in dangerous times. A new bill in Congress would ensure this free, reliable service remains in cars. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress to support the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Summer's just getting started. Still need your air conditioner checked? Schedule your HVAC system check for only $54. This is a limited time offer. For details, visit aircomfortservice.com.
97.1 and thousands of music options, plus millions of podcasts are all on the free Odyssey app. Download the app or tell your smart speaker to play 97.1 and it comes up automatically. 97.1 FM Talk. This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Instagram at The Annie Frey Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. We're grateful that you're here on a beautiful Monday afternoon in St. Louis. We love spending the afternoon with us, with you, and we always appreciate when you choose to spend yours with us. We've been talking about this gender question and the idea of traditional gender roles. Do they get to be a part of the conversation? That's not to say in any way, shape, or form that, you know, I'm here advocating for traditional roles and that's the only way that any of this can actually ever function or work. I mean, there are people having that conversation. My question is just more, if you're interested in discussing a gender spectrum or gender role spectrum, why is it that traditional roles can't be championed as much as any other role on said spectrum would actually be? And I feel very strongly that the efforts to emasculate men in our society as we know it right now make it much simpler for other entities to that gain power and wealth through influence in politics. The less that we have toxic masculinity or just maybe like super alpha male masculinity, the easier it's going to be for other entities to slip in that vacancy, because the vacancy will not stay vacant for long, and influence how people live, the things people do in the absence of that masculinity. So the first question I'm going to ask you, Brad, is do you believe that the emasculation of men is actually a prevalent process in America? And then the second question that I was teasing before we went to the break is this the first domino? If you're going to fundamentally transform the United States of America, you're going to need people to act differently than they had before. Do you feel like culturally that the emasculation of men has to take place first before any other modifications and how we operate culturally can take place?
So to answer your first question, I would say yes. I think that there is an effort out there to emasculate men, to make men less manly. I don't know that it started off as that was like the intention when it first started, whenever the ball started rolling on this. I don't know if that's the intention. I think maybe opportunists have taken it and started using it in that manner. But initially, I think a lot of it has arisen from the feminist movement. And I think what has happened is a lot of this stuff, there were some really, and there still are some really hardcore feminists out there who believe that the only way that they can raise women is to push men down. And that's, we can argue and debate about whether or not that's the goal of feminism or not, but that has been the reality of it. There are some women out there that really think the way that you boost feminism is to push men down. I think that there are some men out there, as horrible as this sounds, who are using that to their advantage in the hopes that maybe they can, become a potential mate to some of these women. They see this as their opportunity. So if I put myself in this position, I support these causes, then maybe this person will like me, whereas they couldn't compete with the traditional masculine men. I don't know if that makes sense to you or not. But so it started off as kind of like this is a side effect. We've pushed a lot of programs that really help girls in school. We do a lot of things to, there's been a tremendous emphasis on girls and their success. And not so much that we haven't been putting an emphasis on or that we've been pushing boys down, but there just isn't that emphasis on there. And then this talk of toxic masculinity comes out, and young boys are listening to this and hearing it and going, well, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing, because if I would do what my natural inclinations are to do, they're going to call me toxic. And so they get confused and angry and upset.
I feel like the phrase toxic masculinity kind of frustrates me, because I do believe that there is toxic masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think that what has come onto the mainstream scene under the guise of toxic masculinity is actually toxic. I have been in bars and been hit on men who are toxically masculine. And so that is a difference in the idea that traditional gender roles of males would be toxic. So it's a relative term.
Right.
What do you feel when the phrase toxic masculinity comes on the scene? What do you feel is being made to be toxic about men?
I think when that phrase comes on the scene, like you said, it's highly politicized, highly charged. It's not simply toxic behavior. It's just behavior that will stand in the way of whatever that individual is trying to accomplish. So they would call that, well, that's just toxic masculinity. Oh, you don't want a wife that is a boss girl who's going to go out and
boss girl.
Yeah, you know where I was going with
a
that.
Boss bee.
Yeah. So you don't want that? Well, you're just a toxic man. You can't handle that. You're not strong enough to handle that. That's kind of the thing goes. And the guy's like, well, no, actually, I would prefer just to have a traditional family.
I also I reject the notion that strong masculine men want weak women. Why are you laughing?
They don't, but we are defining strength and weakness within women the same way we would just define strength and weakness within men. And it's not the same thing. I mean, to understand that there's a difference between masculine features and feminine features is really important here. So I want a strong woman. That doesn't mean that I want a woman that can beat me up.
Well, and I just feel like men, I think it has to do, I think that the idea of toxicity in men for me as a female, and I would say I am probably on the strong side of, I think I would be referred to as a strong woman. And that could mean a lot of different things for a lot of different people. And some would be saying that as a compliment, and some would not be saying that as a compliment. Thank you to the people who are being nice, and pound sand to the people who aren't. I think that the idea that toxicity exists when confidence becomes arrogance. And I think that confident men who are confident in their abilities to provide, in their abilities to protect, they're confident in the principles that they choose to abide by themselves, or the principles that they want to raise a family in. I think that when you find a woman who has those same priorities and has the same confidence, I think that becomes attractive to a man. Not a wishy-washy woman that people who want to always be spewing this idea of toxic masculinity, like anything that is a traditional male role is bad. To me, it's almost as if they transfer everything that is toxic about men and transfer it onto women, and then they champion it with women. The things that would make a man toxic would make a woman toxic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like what you're describing is like when you're building a family, when you're getting married, you want somebody that if your family lays out a goal, if you and your spouse get together and you lay out a goal and it's like, we are trying to do this with our family, all hands in the center, here we go. And then each person has the strength, the ability, and the drive to get these things accomplished, to build this family. That's incredibly attractive. What's not attractive is, and this is where you were going with, is the person that wants to be the dominant force. They want to do this, and it stops being about all hands in the middle, and it starts being about, I need to be right in this, or they start fighting you in the things that you're good at, and they're like, well, you're not doing it the way I want you to do it because I need you to do it this way, and it becomes abrasive and corrosive within the relationship, and that's completely unattractive.
It's flipping the script on subservience in a secular way, where men are now supposed to be the beta in a relationship, now the alpha in a relationship, because of feminism. And it's just really not the way a lot of natural relationships end up working. Jason Howerton, in the clip that he's talking about, is how if men... So they're basically going back and forth in how men in today's day and age need to think and behave if they want to find, maintain, and grow relationships with women who want the same thing. They're basically making the argument, one side is making the argument that women today are not women of the 80s, the 70s, the 60s. They're people who are into self-gratification, they're vain. They, the culture that exists through social media, which is always making you have to put your best foot forward. Like, everything is so shallow about women today that men are going to need to adapt their expectations about women who are, I guess, gettable to develop a relationship and potentially a family. What Jason Howerton was saying is that if men want to find the woman that they're looking, like if they want to have high expectations for women, that the first thing a man has to do is understand his purpose. And when you understand purpose, you are going to have to set aside your constant biological, almost insatiable, maybe insatiable need for pleasure. You're going to have to deny yourself some things to get what your ultimate purpose is, which is to find a woman who you could spend the rest of your life with and start a family with. And that until men get back to this idea that there is so much out there for you young men right now. There's so much out there preying upon the same urges of self-gratification that have existed for every single generation before. There's no generation that has had to live through the ease to self-gratify. And I'm talking about everything, not the obvious thing. That the idea that you can go out there as a young man and be gratified in every single possible way exists now, and you're told you don't need a woman, you don't need a family, you don't need any of this stuff, and that women are honestly to be used. That if men would grasp some of those traditional roles that used to exist, that in the end they would be incredibly more fulfilled than they could ever have imagined with every miniature step of self-gratification that actually gets you nowhere. It's cyclical. And men end up failing themselves under this guise of constant gratification. It is in total not gratifying at all.
And the same thing for women on the other side of that. They go out there, they chase this self-gratification, and then at the end of the day, you find yourself unfulfilled. I always try to give the same piece of advice, because I'm going to end up siding with Howerton on this one. That guy, the other guy said, hey, there's not that kind of woman out there. He's saying that like that type of woman doesn't exist anymore. That's not true. That type of woman exists. But if you want to attract the kind of woman, and I say this to young men in the youth group all the time, if you want to think of your dream wife, the woman that you would love and cherish forever, that wife, you have to be the kind of man that kind of woman would be attracted to. And if you live that life and you go through your life with that your goal and you become that man, those women, those types of women you will find. And you'll repel the kind that you don't. Because that type of man that attracts the kind of woman that you want to marry, if you're wanting a traditional wife, you got to be a husband that would attract a traditional wife. That kind of man will repel the other kind of woman that you don't want, and you'll draw closer to that. So what Howerton's argument is that if men start being the men that they need to be, then that other culture of women will go away.
It's also so incredibly rare today to, in a mainstream setting, see men who are very eager to have a priority that is bigger than themselves. In the mainstream. I think that they are everywhere. I just think that because it's not a weakness in them, but the current culture is so aggressive towards specifically traditional-minded men. And good grief, this spans races in a significant way. It's probably one of the things that is most common among men today, that if you have the urges to be traditionally masculine in the things that you choose to do and choose to prioritize and choose to want to further in a relationship that you might have with another person, and then the children that you might bear, it's just kind of easier to be quiet about it because there's so much going on that wants to. It's like I'm busy trying to establish a family, raise a family, pay for my bills, take care of myself, be responsible for myself, that all of the non-traditional noise that is out there keeps those people quiet. I think that there is a huge opportunity to reach a large portion of Americans to talk about traditional roles, not as the only way to do things, but a reminder that it is a great way to do things. And you can have that conversation without demeaning anybody else. And I think that that is where conservatives who are so, eyeball deep in the muck of politics don't think that there's any progress that comes out of anything outside of a political victory. There's a cultural victory to be won here, and that is not to take anyone off the map, but just to put the traditional lifestyle back on the map as an option. It's a good place to start, and to have no shame in it whatsoever. I'm glad that I've seen a lot of people who are not really political influencers, but they are they are kind of dipping their toe into the political sphere, just come out and say, no, I think that the idea of finding a good woman and starting a family is a great goal and priority. And I think that there will be many cultural victories to be won if we are able to talk about that in a non-combative way, also one that won't back down. All right, let's take a quick break. I need your votes today on the YouTube live chat poll. Can Donald Trump win the presidency if Joe Biden is not the Democratic nominee? Yes or no? Can Trump win if he's got to beat somebody other than Biden? Go on the Annie Frey YouTube channel. We're broadcasting live right now. Hello to the folks that are watching. Vote in the live chat poll, and I'll read some of your comments when we return. Don't go away.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
So summer has really made itself known this past week, and we want to make sure that you're ready for any of this hot weather that continues to come with a $54 AC service check. For a limited time, you can get this HVAC system check for only $54. This system check is unlike a lot of what other heating and cooling companies will do. Air Comfort Service will check your entire system, not just the air conditioner, because it's summer. That's why they call it a system check. When you reach out to Air Comfort Service at 314-513-0091, that's 314-513-0091. Mention 97.1 and Annie Frey Show and receive this $54 HVAC system check offer. I think it's only good through the end of August unless they extend it, and I haven't heard any clues that they were going to. So if this is something that you have been thinking about doing in your home with your system, make sure you reach out today with that phone call and get it scheduled. Book your system check by calling 314-513-0091, or you can look up more information about all of this at aircomfortservice.com.
I was having a lot of sinus infections. My sinuses were clogged, pressure, headaches.
Linda suffered for years with chronic sinus infections.
You don't feel like doing anything. When you feel like your head is completely clogged, all you want to do is just lay down and sleep. And the pressure, it's just not fun, always walking around with a headache.
Now, her issues are gone. How? A minimally invasive procedure done in the office of St. Louis Sinus Centers called balloon sinuplasty.
I really did not know what it was like to feel like you're really breathing and not being so clogged up. I would do it again in a heartbeat, and I would definitely recommend it for someone else.
Do you suffer with chronic sinus infections, facial pain, pressure, congestion? Find out if balloon sinuplasty is the solution for you. Set an appointment today with St. Louis Sinus Centers. Call 314-332-2885. 314-332-2885. That's 314-332-2885.
Is your home, business, or church looking tired, chalky, or in need of curb appeal? Go Rhino. Tired of painting year after year? Go Rhino. Our unique 3M ceramic technology is perfect for brick, stucco, aluminum, steel, color lock masonite, and more. It's backed by our 25-year transferable warranty to not chip, crack, or peel. Great if you're staying, and even better if you're selling. Our ceramic coating allows you to maintain all of your architectural features. The decision to do vinyl will leave your home looking like a plastic moldy box. With Rhino Shield, in 15 years, your home will still have that, wow, it looks like you just got it painted. We've done large condo complexes, parking garages, pole barns, and commercial strip malls. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. Evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
This is Kim St. Ange with the Mark Cox Morning Show on 97.1 FM Talk. I can see clearly now thanks to Doctors Birdie and Malhotra with Ophthalmology Associates, and you can too. Go to youridoc.com today or call 314-966-5000.
Hello, everybody. I'm John Rooney. Do you have an old car that's taking up room in the driveway? Repairs are costly and selling is a hassle? That's why you should donate it to Goodwill. Donating is quick and towing is free, plus you get a tax receipt and 4 tickets to a Cardinals game, compliments of the St. Louis Cardinals. That's a win-win. For more information or to donate, visit online at mersgoodwill.org. Must mention Cardinals.
Hey, it's the last chance to get your vote in on the Annie Frey Show YouTube live chat poll. We want to know, can Donald Trump win the presidency if Joe Biden is not the Democratic nominee? That's a yes or no question. Log on to Annie's YouTube page and get your vote in. We're about to read the results. The time is currently 2:50. This update is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Missouri's new law on so-called gender-affirming care kicks in because of a court victory scored by Andrew Bailey, the Missouri Attorney General. He'll join me Monday afternoon.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
Now I'm out here
looking like revenge, feeling like a 10, the best I ever been. And yeah, I know how bad it must hurt to see me like this, but it gets worse. Now you're out here looking like regret, ain't too proud to beg, second chance you'll never get. And yeah, I know how bad it must hurt to see me like this, but it gets worse. Now payback is bad chicken, baby.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. We've got a YouTube live chat poll up for you to vote in right now, and we've got a lot of reaction on it. The poll is, can Donald Trump win the presidency if Joe Biden isn't the Democratic nominee? Brad, what are your thoughts on this one?
That is a loaded question, and there's a lot of things to consider. And I would say no, unless that nominee was Kamala Harris. But we also discussed that how that wouldn't be the case. So I'm going to say yes. Or wait, no. Can Donald Trump win the presidency?
Can he win?
No, he can't win if Joe Biden is not the nominee.
Trump needs Biden.
Trump needs Biden
to win. Linda said, I said yes because I honestly think he can if he plays it right. People are angry and see that he is right. If they see that he is right, because they're coming after every one of us, and he will get in the way. This is a lot. It's hard to read. JB says, again, if Trump wasn't running, there would be no indictments from the weak and meek and insecure on the left. Eric says he chose no on the poll. If a competent, non-bribable Democrat surfaces, Trump could lose. He could even lose to Biden again, which is crazy. That's an interesting point as well. Donald Trump could lose to Biden again.
Mm-hmm.
Any of the other candidates in the race right now, do they lose to Biden?
Ooh. No, I don't think they do. I was thinking, well, what about a Burgum who nobody knows? No, I think he could win. And relatively unknown from a small state.
Are people voting against or for?
Well, I think at that point they'd be voting against Biden, and Burgum would be like, this guy is from North Dakota. He can't be much of a threat at all.
Colonel says Biden is the only Democrat who Trump can beat. I don't count Kamala because she won't get nominated by her own party. I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
And it concerns me. Mark says, yes, Trump will win in a landslide if the Dems don't cheat again. So let's go to the poll results here. I'm going to feature these now. Well, I guess I should answer it. Can Donald Trump win the presidency if Joe Biden isn't the Democratic nominee? Yes or no? I don't think he can. I think he needs Biden to win. I think that there's kind of a standoff going on right now between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. I think that the idea that Joe Biden could beat anybody other than Donald Trump is ridiculous. Mm-hmm. I think that is a guarantee. There's nobody in the Republican primary right now that Joe Biden could beat outside of Donald Trump. And it's not because Joe Biden is that great. It's just because Donald Trump, everyone has an opinion on Donald Trump. Pre-baked into the cake.
Mm-hmm.
So come November, 435 days from today, you know how you feel about Donald Trump right now. You're probably going to feel the same way in November of 2024. What's going to change about that? Well, I think that the idea that the opponent being Joe Biden, I think that there are going to be people who will not vote for Joe Biden. If it's Biden-Trump, the way Trump wins is not necessarily the people who cross over and vote for Donald Trump. It's the people who will not vote to put Joe Biden back in the office. If it's a different Democrat, I think they'll say, I'm willing to roll the dice. Like, good grief, they were willing to roll the dice on Joe Biden.
Mm-hmm.
He's exactly who everyone should have expected him to be. A disaster. So terrible. All right. The Monday YouTube live chat poll, can Donald Trump win the presidency if Joe Biden isn't the Democratic nominee? Yes or no? 32% people say no. 68% of you said yes. Donald Trump can win the presidency if somebody else is nominated other than Joe Biden. That's encouraging to hear from folks, and I hope that you are right. You think that there are any candidates on the left? I'm going to take Michelle Obama out of the equation because she's been the person who I've always said is going to sneak in there at the end and run and be incredibly successful if she does. Please don't do that, Michelle Obama. I can't handle it. Please don't do it. Do you feel like any of the other Democrats would really give the Republicans a run for their money?
I think that Gavin Newsom is a darling of the progressive left. I think that he would give them a run for the money. I think that California is going to be an anchor around his leg, though. To look at how he would ran his country or his state and what came of that, I think that would just be a tremendous downside for him. But I think he's the one that could give the most threat.
Well, we're going to continue to follow it each and every step of the way. We got to speak with Andrew Bailey today. He's fighting for those minors in the state of Missouri who are being influenced to use puberty blockers, a very aggressive medical procedure, in some cases as a first priority. And not anymore, because Missouri has passed a law and the Attorney General of the state of Missouri, Andrew Bailey, has successfully defended it in court and won last week. If you wanted to hear that interview, you can go back to 125 when we began speaking with him. A really great conversation. He also commented as well on the Justice Department's pursuit of Donald Trump. The Mark Reardon Show on the on 97.1 next.
Retired or retiring soon? How much money do you need to live comfortably? Retirement Planners of America is here for you. Would you like to have financial peace of mind? Here's how. Step 1. Find out the amount of money you'll need to retire. Step 2. Have a plan to get there. Step 3. Make sure that plan can take advantage of market gains but protect you from market losses. Discover how to do all three with a free consultation at 800-508-6108. That's 800-508-6108.
All investments involve risk, including losses. Past performance does not guarantee future results.
We expect our information in real time. U.S. Med carries continuous glucose monitors, which provide real-time readings of blood glucose levels. U.S. Med is an approved provider for Medicare and over 500 private insurers. So call 800-730-8405 today for a free insurance and Medicare benefits check. As easy as, that's 800-730-8405.
Jen Teskey with RE/MAX Alliance, your phone call at 618-541-1010. Buying a home on the Illinois side of the river is, the market right now everywhere is crazy. But Jen, she's the leader of the pack. She's the person who is going to take your situation if you're looking to buy a home, and she navigates the market with ease. She understands competing offers and how to make sure that you are best positioned to get the house that you want to make your home. And also, when it comes to listing your home, man, if you have even been considering listing your home lately, reach out to Jen Teskey and just have the conversation. What do you think I could get for my house? How fast do you think I could sell it? And you might be pretty shocked at the results. 618-541-1010. Call or text Jen Teskey at 618-541-1010. When you partner with Jen Teskey and RE/MAX Alliance, you get a dedicated team of professionals. They're going to treat you like family, give you that big sister treatment to make sure that the process is done right but cared for. 618-541-1010, JenTeskeyHomes.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection